Hey, good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, the last day of September, as a matter of fact, and we welcome you to Breakfast with Roger and Friends. In this case this morning, it's Sonny and Cher. Good morning, Cher.
Good morning.
Terry Chamberlain as joins us, but we've got a lineup of some wonderful people, and I hope you stick around, not only on WACU FM 90.7, but also on YouTube. And our guests include, a lot of things are happening, and former Congressman Ray LaHood will be joining us this morning to talk about what appears to be is a partial but nonetheless shutdown of government. We'll talk to him about that, and also the big peace plan that's been presented to Hamas. It'll be interesting what they will do with it, but we'll talk about that with the congressman. And there's been an outbreak of listeria, and Dr. Gene Sidler will give us an update on the dangers of contaminated food, in this particular case listeria. And we have also delightful three wonderful former coaches and teachers in the Peoria area. Phil Salzer and Mike Lawless and Bob LaCroix will join us live in the studio as well. So we have a wonderful lineup of things happening, and of course the most comprehensive news in Peoria radio right here on little old WAZU. More news more often on 90.7. So let's do what we do every morning and give you a look at the news that we're following this morning. And certainly we'll begin with a check of the weather, brought to you by your community banks, hometown community banks, division of Morton Community Bank. And as you know, we've talked about it numerous times. They have 46 convenient locations throughout central Illinois to serve you. And I love their tagline, look for the clock tower, and you know they have time for you. Member FDIC. Weather-wise, yeah, it's going to be another sunny and hot day with a high near 90 degrees, the overnight low 58. Tomorrow, another sunny day, but not as warm, but not much warm, or cooler. A high of 87 tomorrow, Thursday 89, and Friday another 90. And right now, we're a delightful 64 degrees. Now the news, and here's Terry.
President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday announced a 20-point peace plan they hope will bring an end to the war with Hamas. Highlight of the proposal is the release of all the Israeli hostages in return for an end to all military operations in Gaza. Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Gaza would be ruled by a transitional government headed by Trump. Netanyahu approves the plan. Hamas has yet to respond. We'll talk with former Congressman Ray LaHood about the hope for peace at 7:15 this morning.
The president is still trying to bring an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. He's hinted or suggested he just might start supplying long-range Tomahawk missiles to the Ukrainians. The missiles can strike deep into Russia with the capacity to fly 1,000 to 1,500 miles to hit targets. If that doesn't shake up Putin, nothing will. They're used to attack distant targets from sea-launched platforms flying at low altitudes to avoid radar. It could be a game changer, say some military experts.
In this country, there's no deal between Republicans and Democrats for passage of a new spending plan. Vice President J.D. Vance says demands made by Democrats are unrealistic and says a shutdown will happen. Democrats blame Republicans. The deadline is Wednesday, October 1st. Republicans were unable to get an agreement with Democrats for a short-term spending plan to keep the government open.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a partial shutdown if it does happen. Looks like it's going to. Active duty military, federal law enforcement agents, border patrol protection, meaning ICE agents, and custom officers will remain on duty. So will air traffic controllers and postal workers, among others.
Speaking of ICE agents, they arrested an illegal alien in Des Moines, Iowa, working as superintendent of schools in the city. Ian Roberts, an undocumented immigrant and a registered Democrat, was carrying a loaded handgun a hunting knife, and $3,000 cash when he was taken captive. Sounds bizarre. I'm sorry.
That was it. General telephone excerpts.
Yes, they're raising their, yes. Anyway,
Yeah.
state officials revoked his education license, but the school board put him on paid leave.
That's called a typo, in case you don't know. Anyway, since we're talking about education, let's tell you about the 3 coaches, teachers who are being recognized for their service with an open house tomorrow at Peoria High School. Phil Salzer, Mike Lawless, Bob LaCroix will be honored for their many years of teaching and coaching with our youth. Public urged to meet and greet the 3 from 6 to 8 p.m. All 3 will join us this morning at 7:30, so stay tuned.
A listeria outbreak has led to the deaths of 4 people and the hospitalization of 19 others, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The contaminated products sold at Walmart and on the list for recall are Morningside linguine with beef meatballs and marinara sauce, and Trader Joe's Cajun-style blackened chicken breast fettuccine alfredo. The outbreak covers Illinois among the 15 named states. Dr. Gene Sidler joins us at 8:15 with more details about the dangers of listeria.
You know that Morningside linguine with the beef meatballs, that sounds pretty good with marinara sauce. But I don't want to get listeria.
I don't either.
More details as we turn to local news has been released regarding the 2 shootings and potential riot in downtown Peoria. It happened Sunday morning on Main Street, not far from Monroe. Peoria County State's Attorney Jody Hoos announced the arrest of 6 people charged with aggravated battery. The 6 were allegedly among an unruly and aggressive crowd, 40 to 50 people who were interfering, allegedly, with officers investigating a shooting that sent 1 person to a local hospital in critical condition. Police say the crowd also caused problems for medical personnel seeking to treat the shooting victim, who wants all 6 to remain behind bars until their trial.
Peoria police arrested 26-year-old Pablo Sanchez for armed robbery of the Daily Food Mart at 605 South Shelley around noon Sunday. A quick response by officers ended with his arrest a short time later, not far from the scene of the crime.
You know, again, kudos to our Peoria police, the men and women, made a quick arrest, and that's not uncommon. They're Johnny on the spot or Julie on the spot, if we want to make sure we include the female officers as well. Our final local story, Peoria firefighters also quickly on the scene of a blaze at the Outcast Foundry, 8821 North University yesterday morning. Happened around 11 a.m. Due to the nature of the fire and the products involved, due diligence was necessary. Damage estimated at $50,000. Now we're going to turn to WCBU and get their take on the news this morning as we add to the comprehensive radio news right here on WAZU. And it's brought to you by Kyle Varnold. Kyle, eager to serve you with free reviews of your insurance plans for auto, homeowners, health, and life coverages, and he's happy to do that. No charge to make sure you're receiving the right insurance at the right cost. No obligation for this free service, and you can reach Kyle later this morning, obviously, at 309-682-0519.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. The city of Peoria is working on creating a pair of new tax increment financing, or TIF districts, in an effort to boost economic development. One of the TIF districts covers the Northwoods Mall commercial corridor. Councilmember Andre Allen says he's eager to see how it might attract more businesses.
This demonstrates our vision for wanting this to, again, not only be a current shopping destination, but again, for it to grow, for future growth and sustainability.
City Manager Patrick Urich says other communities have had success in seeing large mall parking areas turned into apartments and other businesses. Republican lawmakers in Illinois have joined forces to tamp down data sharing by colleges and universities. State Representative Travis Weaver of Peoria says a new bill in Springfield is aimed at protecting student data. A complaint filed with the U.S. Department of Education claims sensitive information was shared with political organizations without student consent.
The complaint that we raise underscores the urgent need to hold institutions accountable and to demand stronger safeguards against the misuse of student data.
Illinois State University, Heartland Community College, and Eureka College are among those shown to have given data to All In, a nonpartisan voter engagement firm. Republican Central Illinois Congressman Darren LaHood is expressing skepticism about the Trump administration's public health guidance regarding vaccines and Tylenol.
I don't think we have enough evidence to reach some of the conclusions that have been reached, and so I'm cautious on some of the things that have come from the HHS secretary, and I think what I would tell people is rely on evidence and facts that are based on science.
His administration has pulled back on some vaccines for children and said not to take Tylenol during pregnancy. Many doctors and public health officials reject that claim. Illinois is one of 21 states to win a lawsuit over disaster relief funding. The Trump administration has attempted to withhold nearly $2 billion in disaster relief funds from states that have sanctuary cities. Trump's executive order aimed to force states to coordinate with federal immigration officials in exchange for Homeland Security grants. Judge William E. Smith rejected the, quote, arbitrary and capricious conditions laid out by the president's administration, saying the order was unconstitutional. I'm June Delahunty.
All right. Thank you kindly, ladies and gentlemen. Now, time for sports. And by the way, I believe our good friend, Tuesday morning, longtime friend, as a matter of fact, and former coach and teacher, Mike Olson, I believe, had a surgery yesterday. I believe. It was supposed to be last week, but they had to delay for more. Well, we won't get into the details. So, anyway, I'm sitting in for Mike Olson.
Oh, okay.
Until our temporary sports guy, Chris Buckley, arrives on the scene. But let's get into it. Let's start with baseball. The regular season is over. Today the playoffs begin without, ladies and gentlemen, as a Cub fan, I have some pleasure in saying this, without the St. Louis Cardinals, who were swept by the Cubs over the weekend. The Cubs host the San Diego Padres today at Wrigley Field in the best-of-3 series. Matthew Boyd, who's looked pretty good during the season, will start for Chicago. Boyd's record, 14 wins, 8 losses. He has an ERA of 3.21, which is pretty good. Game time, listen to the game time, 2:08. Now, it's another indication television controls sports.
Yep.
ESPN carrying the game, but not the Marquee Network. So you Cub fans who bought the Marquee Network, you're out of luck. But ESPN will be carrying it. I'm not sure which ESPN it is. Another playoff contest, Cincinnati is at L.A. against the Dodgers over in the American League tomorrow. Or I believe today, the Yankees host the Red Sox, and Detroit travels to Cleveland. Let's turn to football. The University of Illinois still celebrating their exciting come-from-behind win over the University of Southern California Saturday, final 34-32 in favor of the Fighting Illini. They next play at Purdue, 11 o'clock Saturday morning. The Fighting Illini are 4-1, 2 more wins, and they automatically qualify for a bowl contest. All right, what else do we have? Notre Dame now 2-2 after their lopsided win over Arkansas, 56-13. They'll face a good Boise State football team this Saturday at 2:30. And the Chicago Bears are enjoying the fruits of victory after their big win, as you know, over Las Vegas. The Raiders Sunday, 25-24. That evens their record at 2-2. They're off until Monday night, October 13th, in Washington against the Commanders. Green Bay 2-1, and Kansas City Chiefs are 2-2. Monday Night Football. Were you watching last night? I doubt it. Not many were watching, at least from the Midwest. It was the 1-2 Denver Broncos against the 2-1 Cincinnati Bengals. The final score: Denver 28, Cincy 3, and that's sports, fans.
The Illinois Emergency Management Agency presents actress Marion Ross as Marion.
You sure you're ready?
I'm ready.
Because it's not hard to be ready.
That's why I'm ready.
Really, really ready?
Yes, Marion. My company has a business emergency plan in place in case of a disaster.
Good. You're one of the biggest companies in town. A lot of small businesses depend on you.
Well, we have a plan and emergency supplies.
Water?
Check.
Food?
Check.
Flashlights and battery-operated radio?
Check and check. This business of mine could not be more ready.
Excellent, dear.
We are ready.
And your vendors and suppliers also have emergency plans in place?
What?
If the companies you rely on aren't prepared, think how long it could take you to get your business back up and running.
Yeah, I guess I could be a little more ready.
What, dear?
I said I guess I could be a little more ready.
That boy.
Yeah.
For more, visit ready.illinois.gov to find out how to make your business emergency ready. Sponsored by the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. And don't forget to check out ready.illinois.gov on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, we're ready to roll. Hour number 1 on Breakfast with Roger and Friends. And we're going to chat a little bit, if you don't mind, Terry, about the incident over the weekend, actually late Saturday night, early Sunday morning on Main Street. And kind of a dangerous situation as additional details roll out about what happened. You know, they talk about police were surrounded, but I believe the AMT folks were a part of that, and possibly the Peoria Fire Department as well, because they had a shooting victim that, as it turns out, was in critical condition. And how in the world do you keep your eye on the target, so to speak, in this case? And that might be a bad choice of words. The target for police and particularly medical personnel was to save the life of this guy who had been shot. And then you have a crowd of people, 40 to 50. Who knows if anyone took a head count to what's going on. This is not good for the city of Peoria, any way you look at it.
No, it is not. When you have to look over your shoulder, like, okay, they're going to come after me, and I'm trying to put a needle in this guy's arm. I mean, that's just, and I cannot get my mind around the mindset of these people that here's somebody that has been hurt, whether friend or not, but it's an individual that has been hurt, and you're trying to stop the people from hurting him?
Yeah.
I mean, helping him?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. I just can't get it.
Well, I think part of it, remember, it happened around 4:30, 4:45, early Sunday morning, in other words, late Saturday night, and it happens to be in an area that has, I believe, 4 o'clock closing time, liquor license for. So I'm going to assume that, and this is no justification, many of those that had too much to drink. Plus, there was what you might say, a culture of polarization going on, and that was anti-police. And we see too much of that in this country, particularly in terrible cities like Portland. Mayor, I don't know if you saw the mayor of Portland. She's a flake. I mean, a super flake. How she got there in that position is beyond me. But we have an environment today that is very anti-police and really anti-discipline when you boil down to it. A society position that we don't have to do anything. Laws might mean something for you, pal, but not for us.
And that comes from raising, I think we're probably on the second generation of kids that were raised with no discipline.
Yes.
A timeout. Oh, yeah, I'm really afraid of a timeout to go sit in a chair in a corner for 20 minutes.
I congratulate State's Attorney Jody Hoos, who said 6 have been arrested when there probably should have been a lot more than just the 6. But she wants them to remain behind bars. Here we go with this cashless bail debacle that Illinois was, I guess, among the first, if not the first state to implement that. And it came out of where else but Cook County and Chicago, Illinois, where they favor, in some respects legislatively, the attackers rather than the victims. But she says she wants those who've been arrested to stay behind bars, and they could face some pretty stiff sentences. So there'll be a lot of pressure on whatever judge is selected to preside at their eventual trial. Are you going to be tough with them to set a good example? Or are we going to have another marshmallow sentence that, go my son and do no more harm?
Yeah. A little slap on the wrist and like, now don't do that again.
Yeah. It's a bad situation, gives the community, gives the city of Peoria a bad reputation, and it's justifiable. It doesn't happen every day, it doesn't happen every weekend, but just once. Look at Broadview, Illinois. I haven't even heard of Broadview, where ICE agents have been attacked. And the governor of the state of Illinois, I'm not going to win any friends from what few remaining Democrats who do listen to the program, who went on television and just blatantly lied about who's being arrested and at these demonstrations, alleging that ICE agents are attacking the protesters. I don't know if he watches television or not, but apparently he doesn't. He doesn't like to go off script, but it was just the opposite. ICE agents are being attacked for enforcing the laws of the government. If you don't like the laws, change the laws, but don't change those who are enforcing the laws of the state of Illinois or the Constitution of the United States of America.
And once again, if you really don't like it here, you're free to leave.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We're not holding you down. And
No. But a lot of people don't want to leave because they're afraid they'll miss breakfast with Roger and friends. I almost said breakfast with Royce and Roger after so
long. I mean, even sometimes I'll do that. It just rolls off because I listened for so many years.
Yeah,
Royce
you're
and
right.
Roger.
It gets to be like an automatic recording for that matter. It's not the first time that it's in my mind. Say, we talk about the fall. We've had a big variety of events in different communities. Like the last one was the annual Pumpkin Festival in Morton, Illinois. And a little reminder that coming up this weekend, and you heard from Susie Platt yesterday, the Spoon River Drive, which is a big event attracting thousands of people. Traffic is a mess, but it's one of those messes, I guess it's kind of like going to South Bend for a Notre Dame football game, or now with the great season that the University of Illinois is having. They had a heck of a crowd, long time in coming, down in Champaign this past Saturday against Southern Cal.
Yep, it's going to be beautiful weather for it, too. I mean, you couldn't ask for really nicer weather. It won't be rainy, won't be cold.
We're on the hot side, and I think that kind of helped Illinois football players used to the heat and the humidity. Southern California is a different story. They're not used to, as a matter of fact, do they even have humidity in California?
Once in a great while, but not like what
we have here in the Midwest. Nope. But what I'm getting to is a little reminder about the big event that takes place north of here that I enjoy going to, although I haven't been in the last couple of years, where they have such delicious baked items and pumpkins and fall items that you can buy.
Crafts,
yes, that's it.
And holiday decorations.
Yeah. And, of course, we're talking about the name of the facility and the name of it. Does it ring a bell? Tanner's Orchard.
Oh.
You were thinking I was talking about it generally speaking, yeah.
Yes.
And we usually have one of the members of the Tanner family. Is it the Tanner family? I think yes, because Judy Tanner was a student nurse at Methodist when I worked there, and she is a Schertel relative, and I can't think of the gal's name that we typically interview every year, and that's where you could get free samples of apple cider. They've tightened up the restrictions a little bit. I'll never forget one year when we were there. There was a little boy that would come over and they had little paper cups for it, and he would take a sample and walk away. And within, I would say 30 to 60 seconds, he was back again for another one. And I would say within an hour, he probably said, "Mommy, I have to go to the bathroom." He drank more cider than anyone, and maybe everybody put together, as I watched him with some degree of admiration and then some admonishment, like, "Do you care if I get a cup of that, little boy?" But it is a great event, and they've added some different things. They've got goats on the roof that you can feed by hand, and it's just a wonderful. And of course, it has the flair of the autumn season. But when the temperature is near 90 degrees, it's hard to say, is this fall or is this July or August for that matter?
Yeah, and didn't even Kyle say yesterday that we're not going to see the colors yet? Normally you see the leaves start turning at this point, and I noticed there's a big tree in our neighborhood that always turns a beautiful, the yellow and the red, and it's not even started yet.
I know. And, speaking of trees, I think they call it a hard maple. Now, I don't know trees, and when I moved in and we started doing some landscaping, I had somebody who, they were doing some work that was, in a way, landscaping. I won't go into the great details of it. And I said, I need to plant some trees. Well, these guys were not experts, as it turns out. Said, well, you want to do this and do that. There were three guys, and they all had an opinion. And I tried to listen and weed through, and I know nothing about trees, although I do know a hard maple has some large roots. And I noticed they came and they cut down some other trees that had grown like you wouldn't believe. Too large, too big, because they started, reaching into my next door neighbor's yard. And he has an irrigation system, and some of them were getting close to their pots of where they distribute, where the sprinklers are. And I said, you know what, I've got to stop. So they removed all those trees, and then after they left, then I had a good look at the root system of the hard maple tree. And it had roots headed for my foundation, which is a no-no, and it can be very bad. And I called and I said, you need to come back and get that tree, because initially I'd indicated to them, they're wonderful people, David and Melissa Fisher of their Fisher Removal Service. Neat people. And he said, well, we could wait until next year. Well, I don't want to wait. I want to get rid of the doggone thing. So they're coming this morning, and that's a major project, because not only the trees, they have to make sure they get those roots out of the ground. So I don't know whether that means my house will start sinking a little bit later in the day today or what, but it is a major project. And the way they do things today, they not only remove the tree, but they have this stump removal. I've seen, and I don't want to cast aspersion against a certain bank in Morton, but one of the bank buildings is located on land that they do not own, and the owners happen to be a church next door, decided they wanted to get rid of all the trees. And they just went through like it was Yellowstone Park when they had that big fire that destroyed so much of the acreage of the park, and cut down all the trees. And boy, does it make a big, not pleasant appearing experience. I wonder what motivated them to get rid of so many trees. There is a value to trees in terms of health environment.
There is, but maybe they were diseased and they wanted to keep it from getting worse, or maybe the root system was getting into
good point
into their sewer system. Boy, that's a bad thing when it starts taking over your sewer system, and then you've got to get that out of there. So
it creates major problems. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour. Let's bring you up to date and review the stories we're covering. And interesting, we're talking about medical personnel on our news at the bottom of the hour, brought to you by Advanced Medical Transport. These folks have been around helping others since 1991. And just some little tidbits of information that AMT covers 65 communities with 54,911 calls a year. That's a lot of calls. And another 15,000 scheduled medical service calls. That means picking up people, taking them to the hospital for a test or procedure, or bringing them home from the hospital. Saving lives, bottom line, is what they do, Advanced Medical Transport. Here's Terry.
Could there be an end to the war in Gaza? Well, President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday announced a 20-point peace plan they hope will bring an end to the war with Hamas. Highlight of the proposal is the release of all the Israeli hostages in return for an end to all military operations in Gaza. Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Gaza would be ruled by a transitional government headed by President Trump. Netanyahu approves the plan. Hamas has yet to respond. We'll talk with former Congressman Ray LaHood about the Hope for Peace plan at 7:15 this morning. The president is still trying to bring an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. He's hinted he might start supplying long-range Tomahawk missiles to the Ukrainians. The missiles can strike deep into Russia with the capacity to fly 1,000 to 1,500 miles to hit targets. There's no deal between Republicans and Democrats for passage of a new spending plan. Vice President J.D. Vance says demands made by Democrats are unrealistic and says a shutdown will happen. Democrats blame Republicans. The deadline is Wednesday, October 1st. It will be a partial shutdown if it happens. Active duty military, federal law enforcement agents, Border Patrol protection, meaning ICE agents and custom officers, will remain on duty. So will air traffic controllers and postal workers. 3 retired and well-known coaches and teachers are being recognized for their service with an open house tomorrow at Peoria High School. Phil Salzer, Mike Lawless, and Bob LaCroix will be honored for their many years of teaching and working with our youth. The public is urged to meet and greet the 3 from 6 to 8 p.m. All 3 will join us this morning at 7:30. A listeria outbreak has led to the deaths of 4 people and the hospitalization of 19 others, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The contaminated products sold at Walmart and on the list for recall are Morningside linguine with beef meatballs and marinara sauce, and Trader Joe's Cajun-style blackened chicken breast fettuccine alfredo. The outbreak covers Illinois among the 15 named states. Dr. Gene Sidler joins us at 8:15 with more details about the dangers of listeria. More details have been released regarding the 2 shootings and potential riot in downtown Peoria Sunday morning on Main Street near Monroe. Peoria County State's Attorney Jody Hoos announced the arrest of 6 people charged with aggravated battery. The 6 were allegedly part of an unruly and aggressive crowd of 40 to 50 people who were interfering with officers investigating a shooting that sent 1 person to a local hospital with critical injuries. Hoos wants all 6 to remain behind bars until their trial. Peoria police arrested 26-year-old Pablo Sanchez for armed robbery of the Daily Food Mart at 605 South Shelley around noon on Sunday. A quick response by officers ended with his arrest a short time later, not far from the scene of the crime. Peoria firefighters were also quickly on the scene of a fire at the Allcast Foundry at 8821 North University yesterday morning around 11 a.m. Due to the nature of the fire and the products involved, due diligence was necessary. Damage estimated at $50,000. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, thank you very kindly, Terry. And now a check of the weather brought to you by Spoon River Home Health Services, celebrating over 30 years now of caring for people in need in the city and the country throughout central Illinois, bringing health care to you with nurses, therapists, and personal care assistants. You can learn more from the services that are available 24/7, and you can reach them at spoonriverhomehealth.com. Sunny and hot today, a high of 90, overnight low 58. Tomorrow will be sunny once again. Not as warm, but not much. A high of 87 is still warm. Thursday, 89, and Friday, 90. And right now our temperature at a delightful 62 degrees. There you have the news and the weather at the bottom of the hour. Now, is that called a cover for Journey? Is that a Journey song? It's got down, Don't Stop Believing. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes. I don't know if I would call it a cover, because usually a cover means they're actually going to be singing. These are just instrumentals, aren't they?
These are all instrumentals, yeah. Well, anyway, it's a Journey song.
It is a Journey
Can we
song.
agree on that?
Yes.
We've dropped a degree or so. We're now at 62 degrees. You know, we've got this story about listeria, and we're going to learn more about it from our medical advisor, retired Dr. Gene Sidler, coming up at 8:15. It's interesting when I talk to Gene, we talk about times. What's a convenient time? And though on Thursday and Friday he was there usually at 10:12, sometimes 5:45 early in the morning. When he's not here, and I say, what time? The later the better, Roger. So I said, how's 8:15? And bingo, so that's what we decided on. And we have talked about listeria before, and the symptoms of listeria are pretty pronounced, but, you know, similar to having the flu or
or a simple case of simple
influenza, yeah.
or food poisoning.
Yeah.
I mean,
Does it give you any what would we call it, hesitation about buying prepared frozen food? Because that's what these are. I know this, as you ponder that, I know this, I pay more attention to the printed information best if used by such and such a date.
Oh, I do look at that, but then we've had experience, we being my family, we've had stuff in the freezer for a long time, then we go down, take it out, and as long as it's been frozen solid,
You think it's okay?
yeah, we haven't had any problems.
Well, the way we mass produce food today, that's packaged and frozen and so forth, I do hesitate. What's the alternative? Well, cook from scratch, and that takes time, and particularly, in your case, in my case, being a single and living alone, it is, I'm not real interested in getting out the pot and the pans and the recipes of which I am very poor at reading. So you do take these quick fix, throw it into the microwave, and gobble it down, and hope that you'll be okay in the morning.
I think what has saved me through the years is I like my stuff really well done.
I do too.
When my dad just called, it's burnt. I'm like, no, it's not. It's just well done. And so to me, if there's any germs in it, it's been killed because of
the microwave. Cook the crap out of it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about your experience with friends or families that you maybe go to eat with and so forth. But when my sons come up, whether it's Danny from Champaign or Zachy from Bendorf, Iowa, and they throw meat on the grill, when I take a look at it, take a bite out of the hamburger, as a matter of fact, and it's red, and you almost can hear the cow go moo on it, I said, you want to cook this up a little bit? Well, that's where the flavor is, Dad. And I said, okay, for you. But I said, I don't want to see or look at any blood coming out of my sandwich, particularly if it's mine.
I agree. I did for years. Mom would order, and I did too, when you get a steak, well done. And like, well, and you know that they'll print on the menu, not responsible for.
They do.
Some restaurants will, yeah.
Not responsible if you die from eating our food.
Well, no, for steaks prepared well done.
Yeah.
So I've learned order it medium well, and if it comes too pink, then I send it back and say, I need this cooked just a little bit more. But I've gotten better through the years. I can handle light pink.
You
but
can.
Yeah. But
I probably would agree with you, and I have eaten it light pink, if that's a description.
But no, the red, what they call a rare, cannot handle that.
Yeah, I've had situations where back when I did eat a lot of particular ribeye steaks, how do you want that done? A medium rare, and you get a look from the server sometimes, usually a guy, not a gal, that, are you sure? Because you're going to ruin it. I know one time I said, well done. I mean, it was so well done that they overcooked it. And I think it's that way of saying, you insult us, sir, by having it cooked well done.
So we'll show you. Send out a little piece of chard.
Yeah, and it comes shriveled up like it's on a diet. You know, interestingly, we used to go out to California quite a bit years and years ago to visit my sister, who still lives there and has for over 40 years now. And one of our favorite restaurants was Marie Callender. And they have really grown. The restaurants aren't as popular and as frequent as they used to be. They used to be just in California. Then they built a couple of restaurants up in the Chicago area. And as a matter of fact, we went one weekend on a Saturday up to visit one of them because I was so crazy about their food. And it was not well attended on a Saturday, so I think they bombed in Illinois. But then they got into the frozen food business. And I will say their chicken pot pies are outstanding, and their other frozen meals as well, particularly broccoli cheese with beef tips is one of my favorites. And, there's several others, turkey, et cetera, and so forth. But in the end, eating a frozen meal from Marie Callender is not the same as eating the meal in the kitchen or the dining room of a Marie Callender pie a restaurant, which I believe are still in Texas, as well as their home base, which was Long Beach, California. Do you have a favorite in the frozen meal? You remember years ago, what was the first one off the shelf?
Swanson's.
Swanson. Yeah. And you can get some frozen meals that are $1 at Walmart. And I tried a couple. They were okay, worth $1. But that has always given me pause. If it's only $1, what is
Why is
in
it only $1?
And I got one of those frozen pies from Banquet. Banquet
was the other big name, yeah.
Yeah, and it was only $1, and you're right, it was worth $1, maybe 75 cents, because there wasn't much to it, but it was cheap and it filled my tummy.
And by the time you would have brought all the ingredients to fix it, not to mention your time.
You weren't even close to it.
You weren't even close, no. I do like the lean cuisine.
Oh, that sounds pretty
And
good.
Stouffer's has some
Well, now
really good meals.
Stouffer is a big name.
Yeah.
We had a guy who was head of first of food service at Methodist. Jim Brimberry was his name, and he used to work for Stouffer's restaurants up in, I think, in the Detroit area. I don't know whether that rings a bell or not. But Stouffer's has always had some pretty good frozen food.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to beat their macaroni and cheese. It really is.
Yeah. And speaking of that, Chick-fil-A serves a great macaroni and cheese. If you don't want French fries, I think there's an upcharge for it, which is interesting. You can get macaroni and cheese. And Chick-fil-A has an outstanding macaroni and cheese component on their menu.
I like Panera's. They've got very good macaroni and cheese, too.
They're outstanding. Weather-wise, outstanding weather, sunny and hot. A high of near 90 degrees. Last time we checked it was 62, and we'll be right back.
The car is making a strange noise. No matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Today's Pet Tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Caring for our pets is just like caring for children. We need to remember their treatments and appointments and keep them current. Sometimes, with all that's going on in our lives, this can be difficult. I suggest you use a family calendar that you write your pet's needs right along with your family's appointments. If you use the calendar on your smartphone, tablet, or other electronic device, just key in the things you need to remember and have it beep you when a task is due. It's easy to remember to feed, water, and walk a pet, but when was the last time you bathed your dog, clipped their nails, or gave them their monthly flea treatment? Today's flea treatments are designed to work in such a way that we need only apply the treatment once a month. But it has to be done regularly and consistently to be effective. Monthly also makes it easy to forget. Bathing, depending on the breed, should be done once a month as well. Nails should be clipped every 2 weeks, and dental cleaning should be done yearly, the same as vaccinations. If we know we have something coming due, it's easier to fit it into our schedules rather than scrambling at the last minute to update vaccinations or paying more to bring an animal current on their treatments. Dental cleanings is one of those treatments that, if missed, can cause you more expense. Plaque left untreated causes heart disease. So make use of whatever device you have and add your pet's needs to your calendar. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's Pet Tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Weather-wise, we can tell you it's going to be another hot one today. Sunny, a high around 90, overnight low 58 tomorrow. Not as warm, but still very warm at 87 degrees under sunny skies. Sunshine throughout the week today. Right now we are at 62 degrees. And we say good morning to Chris Buckley. Glad you could join us this morning.
Thank
You've
you.
been a busy guy.
I have been. I was actually here until after midnight last night working on the studio.
Are you kidding? We'll remind everybody the name of your company and the service
It Plays
you
Media
provide.
Group.
It plays?
And It Plays Media Group. It's off the saying, will it play in Peoria?
Yeah. And essentially, what do you do?
We're a photography house, video. We can do podcasts. We also have gear to, if someone wanted to shoot a feature film, they can come to us and we have everything you need.
What if they don't want a feature film? What if they just want a
short
non-feature?
A documentary.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, documentaries can be feature length and non-feature length.
You know, having looked at your equipment, they're now located in this building at 4507 North Sterling. You have some pretty sophisticated equipment. That did not come from pocket change.
Yeah, everything gets starts adding up, you know. But the idea is, if somebody has an idea for like a YouTube show, or they have an idea for a podcast, or an idea to shoot something, but they don't know where to start, they can call, and we have all the gear, we have all the know-how, we have all the experience to get your idea off the ground.
Yeah, what has made podcasts so popular? Somebody said the other day, when I said there are millions, they said, no, there's more than millions.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing a podcast, and it must work, although I think some people do it for perhaps a little self-grandizement, but they do work. I mean, you see on networks quite frequently where they will quote and interview somebody who is a host of a podcast.
Yeah. It gives the voice to people that may not know how to get their voice out there. So anyone can do it, and if anybody has something they're passionate about or have something that they want to talk about, it's a great way to get some stuff off your chest. I mean, you do your radio show every morning, and it's therapeutic for you. So some people just they like to use it to explore their interests, explore.
Can I do one about raving about rude drivers?
You can.
I bet we'd have a big call-in audience on that.
Oh
one.
yeah. It doesn't even need to be live. You could just do a straight YouTube show where, you know what, you have your dash cam, and then once a week you come in there with dash cam footage and complain about drivers.
Yes, that is a daily occurrence. I'm like, oh my goodness.
And parkers.
Oh.
Bad parkers.
Yes. Yep. Yesterday, I was sitting at a stoplight, and of course, this is one I regularly hit, and so I knew there'd be somebody. And sure enough, somebody comes flying through in the red light, and the car, two cars behind me, It's honking that, get moving. And after the car went whizzing through the red light, I so badly wanted to say, see why I didn't take off? Because I would have been the one T-boned
you're
by
right.
that.
That's particularly true as you come off of I-74 westbound and come up to Sterling Avenue. There's a sign that says no turn, on red, but
Yep.
people do it. But even when the light changes, even early in the morning, I creep out because there are a lot of people who think because it's early in the morning, no police are around, and I'll run this red light. And I had a close call one morning. A young girl ran the red light, and it was just unbelievable. I don't know how she kept from hitting me or me hitting her.
Yeah, well, there was probably about last week sometime. I don't remember exactly when it was. I was trying to get off on Sterling there, and I sat there and the light didn't turn.
Yeah.
18 minutes.
Are you serious?
Traffic, I looked back and traffic was all the way backed up onto 74, down 74, and
are we talking about the same ramp I just described?
yes.
Yeah.
But there's no right turn on red, and the light just wasn't changing. It wasn't changing. And there's people honking, 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 go, go, go. But there is still traffic going the other way.
Yeah, you can't go on Sterling, particularly when it's northbound, because and they are driving quite fast for that matter. Well, we have our good friend Ed Parker on the line. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning. Sorry about that, Uncle Roger.
That's all right, no problem. I wanted to, I don't know whether you want to comment about it or not, but they arrested 6 people when they probably could have arrested 26 people from that standpoint. And these 6 are currently in jail, and the state's attorney, Jody Hoos, wants them to remain behind bars until their trial. Is she attempting to teach them a lesson and maybe let people know you can go to prison for what you did?
Oh, you talking about the situation that occurred downtown?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see, I like I said yesterday, I briefly spoke on it, but from the things I saw, there could be corrections on both sides, but at the end of the day, like I said, the main purpose of any person that's an EMT, fireman, security, police, any type of, major organization when it comes to the health and safety and well-being of human beings is to clear the area, make sure everybody's safe, make sure everything's okay. And when you impede on that, like you just said, it's a possibility that you can do jail time or prison time. It's just as simple as that.
And I know you've been a resource officer and a park district officer for many, many years. Have you been in a situation where you had to take someone into custody and were concerned about your own personal safety?
Oh, well, I mean, come on, every single day, seriously. Not that I deal with the intensity of having to, have things horribly happen, but I'm saying every day it's a possibility that something can go sideways, no matter how strong you think you are, how brave you think you are, how physically and mentally ready you might be. We prepare for those moments, but you don't know how you're going to react and respond until it actually occurs. That's just what it is. That's the how can I put it? I don't want to say fear, because fear is created in your mind, but danger is real. There's always a possibility that something dangerous can happen, and the only thing you can do is just try to prepare and preparedly take care of things and do it as professionally as you can. But as a human being, sometimes we fall short in certain departments. You can freak out because you see too much blood. You can freak out because there's a lot of people surrounding you. You can freak out because of just anything, the weather condition. I mean, it's things that could change the way you feel about how you're doing your job. And it ain't that you're going to fail at it. It's just you see it, you get over it, and then you try to figure out a better way to solve the problem the next time. Does that make sense, Uncle Roger?
Yes, it does. What, in situations that you faced a number of times, have you been in where circumstances necessitated you calling for backup?
You said what incidents have caused for that to occur?
Yeah. Have you been in a situation where you've had to call for backup? Let's face it, you're a big guy, strong guy. You have more belts than Howard Johnson clothing store. And so your physical presence can be intimidating, but there are times when people, due to drugs or alcohol or whatever, don't worry about their own safety. They think they can handle everything and anything, where they decide to maybe put you in harm, and you've had to call for backup.
Oh, yeah, we had several incidents when I was at the park there. I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago, there was a big ordeal where we had to shut the park down early on Easter because of all heck broke loose, so to speak. And it was a very, very a scary situation. Let's put it that way. You know what I'm saying? I ain't like I'm afraid of too many things other than not getting lunch or something like that. But you know what I'm saying? But no, seriously, it was I say literally, no exaggeration, 50 to 75 people that were just kind of going back and forth. And it was probably more than that, but I don't want to, freak people out. But it was a big situation that turned into something that it didn't have to, and we had to call for backup. And the city came to help, a few other departments, and we cleared the park out because it's something that turned into something that it should not have. And it was a peaceful thing that was occurring. It was multiple football high school guys playing like a scrimmage game, and then I guess their girlfriends came up there and got to arguing, and it just got ugly real fast. They even had chaperones of some of the players' parents that were there, and they even tried to say, hey, come on, calm down. And it was just something that didn't have to happen. And it happened to be on a holiday, and, it's people in the park already there, barbecuing and doing other things, and we had to shut the whole park down just because of that situation, because you didn't want it to reoccur or somebody else come up and start another situation. But it was handled. I don't think it was too many arrests, but paper, I want to say, what it's called, pepper balls had to be deployed. And that stuff gets everybody. It ain't just the bad people. It's the people that's dealing with the bad people, too, all of us. Yeah. So, that was the situation, like I said, a few years back. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I'm not for sure. I don't remember. It all plays like a big blur. So many things that occurred. But, like I said, that was one of the times where we did have to call for backup because the people weren't calming down like we was asking them to. Like, come on, cut it out, chill out. Y'all doing too much. And it just kept getting more aggressive, and to the point where it's like, you're putting yourself in between people that's trying to cause harm to each other. And in the process, you get hurt sometimes. That just kind of comes along with the job. Not that you want that to happen, but it's always a possibility, Somebody start throwing rocks or throwing bottles. Or I'm just saying in certain situations, you see videos online all the time of people throwing things and all type of other stuff. And they just get a little overly aggressive. And then when you find out what it's all about, you be like, are you kidding me? You really did all this for that? Get out of here. So,
yeah. Is drinking against the law in parks? I mean, alcohol?
Yeah, you can't drink none of that. It signs up everywhere that says no drinking, no drugs, none of that's allowed. No, you can't do any of that. No alcohol is permitted. And people have picnics and people try to sneak beers in. You know that. Come on, Roger. How many times you been to a picnic and somebody had a beer? Back in the old days, I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. Back in the old days. Thanks for reminding me of that. Well, I know you have to punch in on the way to your job at the school on University and McClure, and I know you at the Glenn Barton School are doing a good job, and you like what you're doing.
I love it. I love it. The people love me. I love them. They have an amazing team there, and I'm very thankful that the people who assigned me to go there allow me to shine and do what God allowed me to do, to be a person that helps and protect and keep people safe. All the SROs and everybody on our team are amazing humans. And the majority of the staff that work for the district are great people as well. It's just sometimes those kids. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it right there.
Yeah, and that's a good place to leave it. Thank you, my friend. Be safe, be careful, and we'll talk to you again. Thanks, Ed.
All right, love you guys. Talk to you later. Hey, Uncle Roger, this is our last week before we go on break. So next week we go on break. I'll be in there with the donuts.
Don't forget the donuts. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Ed. God love you. Super nice guy, Ed Parker. News, weather, sports coming up. Yours truly, along with the one and only Terry Chamberlain and Chris Buckley, sitting in for our friend Mike Olson, doing sports and some weather as well. Thanks for coming in, Chris. Stay tuned. More on the way on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria and also on YouTube. Good to see everyone. Special kudos to our consultant of Breakfast with Roger and Friends, Louis Linder. Great bumper music. I love it. Thanks, Louis. Almost makes you want to dance around the breakfast table. Good morning, everybody. It's the last days of September. It is Tuesday, September 30th, and we begin with a check of the weather brought to you by Sam Lilly and Associates. Enrollment for Medicare coming up very shortly, October 15th to December 7th. This period gives you folks a chance to qualify, of course, to review your Medicare Advantage plan and make changes to make sure you have the best coverage for the best price. Sam Lilly and Associates, you've been involved in doing this for over 40 years, and you can reach him after 9 o'clock at 309-245-4374. Sam Lilly and Associates, the number again, 245-4374. Now weather, here's Chris.
It is going to be sunny and hot today with a high of 90, overnight low of 58. Tomorrow, sunny, not as warm, high of 87. Thursday, 89, and Friday, 90. Currently, it is 62 degrees, and now to the news.
And the news brought to you by Steve Sink, managing partner of PHX Affiliates. Steve has been working as a business broker for over 20 years. He knows business. He knows how to sell and or buy a business at your pleasure. For more information from Steve, you can give him a ring-a-ling at 309-696-8508. Now with our lead story, here's Terry.
President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday announced a 20-point peace plan they hope will bring an end to the war with Hamas. Highlight of the proposal is the release of all the Israeli hostages in return for an end to all military operations in Gaza. Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Gaza would be ruled by a transitional government headed by President Trump. Netanyahu approves the plan. Hamas has yet to respond. We'll talk with former Congressman Ray LaHood about the Hope for Peace plan at 7:15 this morning.
And the president's still trying to bring an end to that war between Russia and Ukraine. He's hinted he might start supplying long-range Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. The missiles can strike deep into Russia with the capacity to fly up to 1,500 miles to hit targets. They're used to attack distant targets from sea-launch platforms flying at low altitudes to avoid radar. They're nasty missiles. It could be a game changer, say some military experts. And Putin says he will retaliate if that happens. Well, he's already retaliating. So tell us something different.
Yeah. In this country, there's no deal between Republicans and Democrats for passage of a new spending plan. Vice President J.D. Vance says demands made by Democrats are unrealistic and says a shutdown will happen. Democrats blame Republicans. The deadline is Wednesday, October 1st. Republicans were unable to get an agreement with Democrats for a short-term spending plan to keep the government open.
And this will be a partial shutdown if it does happen. That means active duty military, federal law enforcement agents, border patrol, protection, meaning ICE agents, and custom officers remain on the job. So will air traffic controllers and postal workers, among others.
Speaking of ICE agents, they arrested an illegal alien in Des Moines, Iowa, working as superintendent of schools in the city. Ian Roberts, an undocumented immigrant and a registered Democrat, was carrying a loaded handgun, a hunting knife, and $3,000 cash when he was taken captive. Sounds bizarre. And get this, state officials revoked his education license, but the school board put him on paid leave.
By the way, I don't want to get too personal, but do you carry $3,000 cash? Typically, what do you carry? Maybe $10 bill or $20 bill?
Right now, I'm lucky if I've got $20 in my wallet.
Yeah. Well, this guy is superintendent of education. They They make the big bucks, I guess. Since we're talking education, let's tell you about the three coaches, their teachers, being recognized for their longtime service with an open house tomorrow at Peoria High School. Phil Salzer, Mike Lawless, Bob LaCroix will be honored for their many years of teaching and working with our youth, particularly in sports as well as in the classroom. The public invited to meet and greet the three from 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow. All three joining us in a few minutes right here in the studio, so stay tuned.
A listeria outbreak has led to the deaths of 4 people and the hospitalization of 19 others, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The contaminated products sold at Walmart and on the list for recall are Morningside linguine with beef meatballs marinara sauce and Trader Joe's Cajun-style black chicken breast fettuccine alfredo. The outbreak covers Illinois among the 15 named states. Dr. Gene Stiller joins us at 8:15 with more details about the dangers of listeria.
More details have been released regarding the 2 shootings and potential riot in downtown Peoria Sunday morning at Main Street near Monroe. Peoria County State's Attorney Jody Hoos announced the arrest of 6 people charged with aggravated battery. The 6 allegedly part of an unruly and aggressive crowd of 40 to 50 people who were allegedly interfering with officers investigating a shooting that sent one person to a local hospital with critical injuries. Police say the crowd also caused problems for medical personnel seeking to treat that shooting victim who was in critical condition. Hoos wants all 6 to remain behind bars until their trial.
Peoria police arrested 26-year-old Pablo Sanchez for armed robbery of the Daily Food Mart at 605 South Shelley around noon on Sunday. A quick response by officers ended with his arrest a short time later, not far from the scene of the crime.
And the Peoria firefighters were also quickly on the scene of a fire at the all-cast foundry, 8821 North University, yesterday morning around 11. Due to the nature of the fire and the products involved, due diligence necessary, damage estimated at $50,000. And now more of our comprehensive news this morning from WCBU.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. The city of Peoria is working on creating a pair of new tax increment financing, or TIF districts, in an effort to boost economic development. One of the TIF districts covers the Northwoods Mall commercial corridor. Councilmember Andre Allen says he's eager to see how it might attract more businesses.
This demonstrates our vision for wanting this to, again, not only be a current shopping destination, but again, for it to grow, for future growth and sustainability.
City Manager Patrick Urich says other communities have had success in seeing large mall parking areas turned into apartments and other businesses. Republican lawmakers in Illinois have joined forces to tamp down data sharing by colleges and universities. State Representative Travis Weaver of Peoria says a new bill in Springfield is aimed at protecting student data. A complaint filed with the U.S. Department of Education claims sensitive information was shared with political organizations without student consent.
The complaint that we raise underscores the urgent need to hold institutions accountable and to demand stronger safeguards against the misuse of student data.
Illinois State University, Heartland Community College, and Eureka College are among those shown to have given data to All In, a nonpartisan voter engagement firm. Republican Central Illinois Congressman Darren LaHood is expressing skepticism about the Trump administration's public health guidance regarding vaccines and Tylenol.
I don't think we have enough evidence to reach some of the conclusions that have been reached, and so I'm cautious on some of the things that have come from the HHS secretary, and I think what I would tell people is rely on evidence and facts that are based on science.
His administration has pulled back on some vaccines for children and said not to take Tylenol during pregnancy. Many doctors and public health officials reject that claim. Illinois is one of 21 states to win a lawsuit over disaster relief funding. The Trump administration has attempted to withhold nearly $2 billion in disaster relief funds from states that have sanctuary cities. Trump's executive order aimed to force states to coordinate with federal immigration officials in exchange for Homeland Security grants. Judge William E. Smith rejected the, quote, arbitrary and capricious conditions laid out by the president's administration, saying the order was unconstitutional. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, let's get into sports. Chris has all the latest. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Good morning, sports fans. Let's start with baseball. The regular season is over. Today, the playoffs begin without the St. Louis Cardinals, who were swept by the Chicago Cubs over the weekend. The Cubs host the San Diego Padres today at Wrigley Field in the best-of-3 series. Matthew Boyd will start for Chicago. His record is 14 wins and 8 losses with an ERA of 3.21. Game time is 2:08. ESPN carrying the game, but not the marquee network. In other playoff contests, Cincinnati is at Los Angeles against the Dodgers. In the American League tomorrow, the Yankees host the Red Sox and Detroit travels to Cleveland. In football news, the University of Illinois still celebrating their exciting come-from-behind win over the University of Southern California Saturday, 34-32. They next play at Purdue at 11 Saturday morning. The Fighting Illini are 4-1. Notre Dame is now 2-2 after their lopsided win over Arkansas, 56-13. They'll face a good Boise State football team this Saturday at 2:30. And Chicago Bears are enjoying the fruits of victory over their big win.
I think Chicago Bears was okay.
Yeah. Fruits of victory after their big win over Las Vegas Saturday, 25-24. That evening, their record at 2-2. They're off until Monday night, October 13th in Washington against the Commanders. Green Bay is 2-1, and the Kansas City Chiefs are 2-2. Monday Night Football pitted 1-2 Denver Broncos against the 2-1 Cincinnati Bengals. The final score: Denver 28, Cincinnati 3, and that's it for sports.
And there you have sports. Hey, we have former Congressman Ray LaHood on the line, and I don't think I've ever asked him, do you follow Major League Baseball, and I assume you do, NFL football, Ray?
I like the Cubs and I like the Bears.
Oh, there you go.
I'm in Collinsville, Illinois, watching my grandson, who's a freshman at Bradley University, on the golf team. We followed him 36 holes yesterday, and we're going to follow him 18 holes today. Bradley has a pretty good golf team, so we've had good weather and it's fun.
Here's a question for you. We're going to test your knowledge of Bradley golf. Who would you consider the best golf player in Bradley golf history?
You know, I don't know enough about it. The players, Roger. I followed basketball as a young man growing up in Peoria, and I have season tickets now.
Yeah, Bob Tojikawa. Does that ring a bell, Bob Tojikawa?
Yeah, of course. Sure.
In my mind, he was. Walt Dirtle, a graduate of Woodruff High School, was also an outstanding golfer, as I recall, for Bradley University. Well, from golf,
you know a lot more about it than I do.
Well, that's my background. I love sports, and as you know, I was the #1 fan for my brother who pitched for the Yankees in the '58 World Series, and I remember when we played baseball on the campus of the university, and he pitched against the University of Illinois, shut him out 4-0. Hooray for Bradley University. Hey, let's talk about. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ray.
No, I was just going to say Bradley's doing well. We got a great new president and making a lot of progress.
Yeah. Amen. You're right, for Jim Shadid. Let's talk about the 20-point peace plan that has been developed and presented, and I guess Israel's gone along with it and so forth. What are the chances of it happening in your mind, Ray LaHood?
Well, not only Israel has gone along with it, I read this morning that Palestine is very favorable towards it. Obviously, the $64 billion question is Hamas, and they've never really been willing to go along with anything.
Yeah.
They're taking some very, very great losses of life and of territory, and Israel, has really gone after them in a very, very strong way. Perhaps they will reconsider and really look at this in a serious way. I think we'll know in the next 24 hours. I think one of the things that they probably are not favorable towards is releasing the hostages, because they can use them as pawns and hide them and so forth. Some of them have already deceased, but I think we'll know in the next 24 hours. I hope they come to their senses and agree to this, and if they do, then hopefully a peace process can begin.
You know, you mentioned how all the other countries that are involved in some way, directly and indirectly, have thrown their support behind this peace plan. The only one who hasn't, as you indicated, is Hamas. A lot of pressure on them, but they are bad dudes, and that's putting it mildly. And I think you suggested it probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah, well, if past is prologue, it probably won't. But they've suffered great losses, and they're at the dead end. I mean, they're at an inflection point in this in this war with Israel, that they may come to the realization that there's no other way out except to be for this peace plan and try and move forward. But we'll see. They're not, most cases, they're not logical people.
Yeah. You know, it was kind of unusual, and the news media pointed out for obvious reasons, that after the news conference with Netanyahu and Trump, they did not take any questions. Do you read it between the lines on this? Any particular reason or motive for that decision?
I think mainly because they felt that they wanted to limit the storyline today to the 20-point peace plan, and they wanted to put the pressure on Hamas as soon as they open it up for questions. What happens if Hamas doesn't do it? What will the United States' position be? And I think they wanted to leave it with the idea that the United States, Palestine, and Israel have all agreed, and really throw it in their lap without, any intervening or outside noise or questions that could muddle it up.
You know, Netanyahu has taken a lot of criticism from many of his own people, and he had to really swallow, I suppose, maybe another way of putting it, had to hold his nose on this, because the agreement includes the release of 250 people, not on death row, but sentenced to life, some really bad people, and 1,700 Palestinian prisoners. I mean, giving up that in return for number of 42 hostages, some of whom are deceased, that had to be difficult for him to accept.
I think that's right, and I think those are the kind of questions that the media would be asking. I also think that giving part of the territory back to Palestine is probably a big swallow for him, a big thing that he probably is not too happy about. The other criticism of Netanyahu is that the reason he's continuing all of this activity is to prevent prosecution for what some are trying to do to him in Israel. But I think it's more really a result of the terrible attack that took place a year ago.
Yeah. All right, let's switch subjects a little bit, see what the odds are for a government shutdown, in this case a partial one, but even a partial one is not necessarily good. Your thoughts on what's happening?
Well, there's no good will come of a government shutdown, Roger. It'll be very bad for the markets. It'll be very bad for people who rely on the federal government to have people staying home and not doing their jobs. Now, it doesn't impact aviation because air traffic controllers will continue to guide planes in and out of airports. TSA will continue to screen people in and out of airports. But for, a number of other functions, and people will still get their Social Security checks, Medicare will be paid, but this is not a way to solve problems. These people get elected to solve problems, and so at issue really, it seems as though, frankly, the Democrats are being a little bullheaded here. The current extension of the government goes until maybe a month from now, and the Democrats wanted to include some things. Well, that really I think could be negotiated in a longer term extension, but it looks likely that there will be a shutdown, and hopefully then it'll turn out that people will be so mad about it that they'll have to come up with some kind of a short-term extension, and I think that's what will happen.
Yeah. One of the sticking points, and I don't think anyone has a good read on it, is the Democrats are talking about health care, eliminating health care is what the Republicans want to deal with. Can you kind of clarify that issue?
Well, what happened in the big, beautiful bill is they have raised the rates for Obamacare. Now, that doesn't just affect Democrats. That affects a lot of Americans, many of whom are Republican, independents, and Democrats, if you want to categorize it that way. And the other thing that happened in the big, beautiful bill was some language that said that Medicaid recipients, now Medicaid is the money that the state pays to so-called poor people or people below a certain income, have to seek a job. And Democrats wanted to change the language in the extension of the government budget to allow for the elimination of that language, and also to allow for a reduction in the higher premiums that people are paying for Obamacare. And that really is the sticking point. And what Republicans are saying is, we can deal with that. Let's get this extension done, and then we can deal with that in negotiations when we negotiate a longer term extension of funding of the government. Those are the two sticking points, and I think Republicans make the argument that this can be resolved in longer term negotiations. Let's take it up to the point where the deadline that we're facing now. And Democrats wanted that language included in this particular extension.
What are the odds? Do you think there's going to be a partial shutdown of the government?
I do.
Yeah, I do too. Think it's going to last long?
I hope not.
Yeah.
For the sake of the American people, I hope not.
And the people it affects, certainly the government
That's
workers
right.
for that matter. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, any predictions on how your grandson's going to do on the golf course today?
He played well yesterday. He's a pretty good golfer, and Bradley has a good team, and I'm impressed with the golf program. So we got our fingers crossed. It's a beautiful day, and the weather's cooperating. A little hot, but the golfers don't seem to mind that. So I don't think they're going to win the tournament, but I think they're going to do well.
Do well. I hate to ask this question. Who is the golf coach for Bradley University?
His name is Jeff Roach, And Jeff has been the golf coach for 20 years, and he does a phenomenal job. He works well with the kids. The golfers that play for him like him very much. He's well known around the golfing community around Peoria. People know him and are acquainted with him, and speak very well of him as a coach.
There is a rumor floating around, if there isn't, I'll start it, that you might be interested in being the assistant coach.
That is a rumor. Yeah. That's correct. You got that part, Roger. You've got that part right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, good luck to him, and I know he will do well, and so will Bradley University under the leadership of Jim Shadid.
Yep. Thank you, Roger.
You bet. Have a great day. Ray LaHood, former congressman, and we're surrounded by. I'd be interested. We're going to address them and introduce them formally here coming up. But are any of you distinguished gentlemen golfers? Did not coach golf at any time? We're on radio, you know. We are on TV. Shaking the head doesn't cut it, Phil. You know, you used to do sports. So the answer is no.
No.
All right. All right, we're going to do news, headlines, and weather, and then we're going to talk to this esteemed group of gentlemen in the room, so stay tuned, everybody. And our news and weather this morning brought to you by Bob Manning, Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley in Peoria. For all your investment needs, call Bob. He's available at 309-671-4653. Terry has the news.
President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday announced a 20-point peace plan they hope will bring an end to the war with Hamas. Highlight of the proposal is the release of all the Israeli hostages in return for an end to all military operations in Gaza. Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Gaza would be ruled by a transitional government headed by Trump. Netanyahu approves the plan. Hamas has yet to respond. The president is still trying to bring an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. He hinted he might start supplying long-range Tomahawk missiles to the Ukrainians. The missiles can strike deep into Russia with the capacity to fly up to 1,500 miles to hit targets. Could be a game changer. There's no deal between Republicans and Democrats for passage of a new spending plan. Vice President J.D. Vance says demands made by Democrats are unrealistic and says a shutdown will happen. Democrats blame Republicans. The deadline is tomorrow, Wednesday, October 1st. It'll be a partial shutdown if it happens. Active duty military, federal law enforcement agents, border patrol protection, meaning ICE agents and custom officers, will remain on duty. So will air traffic controllers and postal workers. 3 retired and well-known coaches and teachers are being recognized for their service with an open house tomorrow at Peoria High School. Phil Salzer, Mike Laless, and Bob LaCroix will be honored for their many years of teaching and working with our youth. The public is urged to meet and greet the 3 from 6 to 8 p.m. And all 3 are with us in the studio, and we'll be talking to them after the news. A listeria outbreak has led to the deaths of 4 people and the hospitalization of 19 others, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The contaminated products sold at Walmart and on the list for recall are Morningside linguine with beef meatballs and marinara sauce, and Trader Joe's Cajun-style blackened chicken breast fettuccine Alfredo. The outbreak covers Illinois among the 15 named states. Dr. Gene Sidler joins us at 8:15 with more details about the dangers of listeria. More details have been released regarding the 2 shootings and potential riot in downtown Peoria Sunday morning on Main Street near Monroe. Peoria County State's Attorney Jody Hoos announced the arrest of 6 people charged with aggravated battery. The six were allegedly part of an unruly and aggressive crowd of 40 to 50 people who were interfering with officers investigating a shooting that sent one person to a local hospital with critical injuries.
And I don't think any of the gentlemen in our studio this morning were there Sunday morning by any chance. No, they're shaking their head no.
Who's puts all six to remain behind bars until their trial.
Okay.
Where they should be. Peoria police arrested 26-year-old Pablo Sanchez for armed robbery of the Daily Food Mart at 605 South Shelley around noon Sunday. A quick response by officers ended with his arrest a short time later, not far from the scene of the crime. Peoria firefighters were also quickly on the scene of a fire at the All-Cast Foundry at 8821 North University yesterday morning around 11. Due to the nature of the fire and the products involved, due diligence was necessary. Damage is estimated at around $50,000. Those are the headlines, Roger.
All right. You know, losing a pet affects just about everyone, and the caring people of Peoria Pet Crematory know that. That's why they're available 24/7 to help you through the grieving process, offering several choices for care and remembrance. Peoria Pet Crematory, their phone number 309-713-1898. Sunny and hot today, high near 90, overnight low 58. Tomorrow it'll be sunny, not as warm. 87 Thursday, 89 Friday, 90. And currently we're at a pleasant 62 degrees. We'll be right back after this message.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Prostate cancer is most common in men 65 and older and is a major medical issue in the veteran population, which is 90% male. Many veterans fall in the age range when prostate cancer peaks, but prostate cancer can be treated effectively if caught early. It's usually found in its early stages and often grows slowly. Men should get screened for prostate cancer with the PSA blood test. This test can detect prostate cancer before it becomes symptomatic, with issues like blood in the urine, trouble urinating, and pain. Such symptoms may mean one has aggressive prostate cancer, which is often not curable. Learn more at research.va.gov/topics/cancer.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have fun in the next 25-30 minutes because we have some icons in the world of education and coaching in Peoria. I will say from a personal standpoint, it's an honor to be talking with such distinguished gentlemen, or as Royce would say, extinguished, but I will say distinguished versus and they include Phil Salzer. Good morning, Phil. No stranger to this program.
Good morning, Roger. And I already dropped the test off
for tomorrow.
And I gave it to Terry because I knew you'd lose it.
Yeah, or I would look at it. See what
don't you read it? Yeah. Don't you read it?
Yeah. Well, if she gives the test, no. But if I give the test, yeah, then she gets to read it. And then Bob LaCroix, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And this is Sean. Sean has put this together. We're talking about Sean Seaver. Sean, you're the one that put this all together. Can you lean over in that microphone?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, okay. And then Mike Lawless. Good to see you, Mike. Thanks for coming.
Same here.
Yeah, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with each one of you. We'll roll the dice or flip a coin to see who goes first. But I'm going to ask Bob LaCroix to start first. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Bob. Are you a Peoria guy, and how you decided to get into coaching and education?
Actually, I started my running career at Cahokia High School down near East St. Louis, south of East St. Louis. Went to Quincy College and continued running. And then got fortunate enough to have a job in Peoria Public Schools in the fall of 1967.
What motivated you to do what you wound up doing? Did you have a mentor in your life? Did you watch a movie or a documentary and say, you know what, that's what I want to do?
I just loved the challenge of running and competing, and I wanted to just kind of pass that on, so I thought I'd get into education and be able to coach Fortunately, Phil Salzer took me on as his assistant my first year, and was his assistant for 17 years at Peoria High School.
Oh my goodness.
And we have a pretty good bond here.
If you've been there for 17 years, you had a pretty good bond.
Yes.
I would say, unless, you know, he captured by money or a contract or something of that nature. Obviously, you have loved what you've been doing.
That's correct. And then during that time, in 1970, Peoria High School was honored to be able to host the state cross-country meet. So under the guidance of a lot of different folks involved, we got that started. Neil Wicker, Harry Whitaker, Corky Robertson were all greatly involved with myself to get the state meet in Peoria. And it's been there now, and this year will be our 56th year of hosting the state cross-country
That's
meet.
amazing. And you know, it not only a great arena for the kids, but also their families, and economically for Peoria, bring a lot of money to Peoria.
Absolutely,
For it.
absolutely.
Let's go over, before we have talked to Sean about what's going on, let's go to Mike Lawless.
Excuse me, I'm a Peoria native. I love Peoria, always have. I went to Peoria High School, graduated in '64. On the Western, I competed athletically there. Answer the question about why to become an educator. I wanted to be a teacher when I was 12 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Why at 12? Why did that enter your mindset?
Teachers had touched my life already.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
So I wanted to do that. Then I went on I coached at Lee Grade School for 2 years. And by the way, that's the graduate school for Jack Brickhouse.
Oh, I didn't know that, really.
Sauls didn't
Yeah.
either. Yeah, Sauls
Jack
didn't know that.
Brickhouse.
Yeah.
Did you stay in touch with him? at
No,
all?
never. I didn't even know him. But Jack
Yeah.
Brickhouse was a grad at Lee School. The south side of Peoria literally adopted me and forever changed my life. I'm from there to Peoria Spalding, and this is where I began to tangle with these guys. There was a guy named Bob LaCroix, and I saw him first at Peoria Stadium with his baseball cap on. And I said, he's my rival. And we were rivals. And fortunately for me at Spalding, there was no soccer yet in Illinois. We got pretty good quick and cross country because those kids were all runners. And before long, we began to tangle pretty well with the Lions. However, not many chunks out of him, by the way, more chunks out of me.
A friendly rival.
Yeah, and we were rivals. And then Sauls was also a rival in track and field. And so what happened was I went from there to Richwoods, and Saul maybe won't tell that story about me there. I spent 7 years there. Through twist of fate, long story, I ended up back at Peoria High School. Bob had moved on to Richwoods. I had taken Bob's spot. I didn't realize what a burden the state meet was because when I left, Bob handed the baton to me pretty much, and fortunately for me, Bob coached me through it, to be honest with you. It was quite an ordeal this first few years. And I got 4 children. I got a wife and the guys, all our wives have done so much for us, you know. I think all of us, if we weren't at a sporting event, I never sat in a bar. I don't think Sauls did either, played cards. I was either athletically involved or at home, and that's true of Bob and Phil as well.
True.
And that's pretty much who I am.
All right, let's talk about Phil Salzer. Phil and I have been friends for many, many years. Don't live too far from one another. And interesting, 2 doors from where I live, Harry Whitaker and Arlene lived for many years and watched Danny and Gary grow up over the years. And when you talk about icons and mentors and heroes in your life, Harry Whitaker obviously was one of those individuals who will never be forgotten in the House of Education, predominantly in the leadership as superintendent. I don't think he was a very good athlete when he was growing up, but I can say that because he's not around anymore. Phil?
You're wrong on that.
Was he a good athlete or
He was a
whatever?
pretty good athlete, baseball player especially.
Okay, all right.
And he became a good golfer.
Yes, I know he's taught me more than once to be better.
But Roger, you know, these guys have said so many things that immediately bring things back to me because both of them were my assistant. Now, to be an assistant track coach, you might as well say you're the head coach because track and field is so, we got 18 events, Have they added anything after I've left, guys?
It's still at 18.
We're still at 18 events. And I brought this book to see, Roger, if you remember some of the Woodruff track guys.
Jerry Katz, Joe McNulty. Who was the guy? The
Charlie Hakes. Charlie Hakes.
Hakes. And the miler. There was a miler.
Yeah, Hakes.
Was it Hakes?
Chuck Hakes. Now let me tell you, Roger. In 1949, Jerry Katz won the 120-yard high hurdles in the state meet. There's a picture in here of that. This is a book about the 100th anniversary of our state track meet.
I can tell it's tattered and torn, but you're still hanging on to it.
I brought the worst one. I didn't bring my good one that I had signed by David Ayub and Dyke Edelman.
Oh, really?
Dyke Edelman? Dyke Edelman was there for our 100th anniversary and so forth. And
what was he best known for?
Well, he's best known as a punter, high jumper. He
in basketball, what did he do?
Well, he played basketball.
Yeah, but he was the only guy I know of that set shots with two hands. Most basketball players push the right hand.
No, that was the modern day, but
but he back in those days, and they also shot free throws underhand.
That's just what I was going to say, and that's.
Boy, we're old, Phil.
I know it. I know it. And he played East Peoria at Tom Connor Field in football, and and he also.
What was his hometown?
Centralia.
Okay.
That's right. Two of the greatest athletes ever in our state.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, and lady, this is an example, Phil Salzer. Each one of you talked as requested about yourself and your career. Here he is talking about everybody except himself.
Well, Dyke, his daughter, who lives in, I think it's Tuscola, she wrote a book on him, and I read it this summer, so I know a lot about it.
Well, let's have the book of Phil Salzer.
No, just let me finish on the two athletes first.
Okay, I just lost control of my show.
One of them came to Bradley, and both athletes were from Centralia. Did you ever hear of Bobby Joe Mason?
Yes.
Okay.
Wound up playing with Harlem Globetrotters.
Correct. And Dyke Edelman, both of them from Centralia. Now, how could that town get the two best all-around athletes?
It's the water.
It's the
water in the town, yeah.
Okay, but those two guys, fabulous individuals. Bobby Joe never got to play in the state tournament. And that's why when they wrote a book called The 100 Best Players of the State Tournament, you don't see names like Bobby Joe Mason in it. You don't see Dave Downey from Canton. You don't see his name in it. You don't see Al Smith's name in it, because none of those guys, and everybody thinks, well, these are the 100 best players in our state. No, they were the 100 best players in the state basketball tournament. Well, I started out in Farmer Cities, where I started out. I had the junior high basketball and junior high track, and I had a fortunate kid who came with me. The kid I had as a student teacher down at Roosevelt under Tony Van Dyke and Wayne Johnson, and his name was Don Woosley, and he just had an uncle that passed away called Vern Woosley. If you ever heard.
I sure did. I knew him quite well.
Yeah.
Fairly well through my brother.
Yeah.
They played either against each other or with each other, did they not?
They played against each other because
Vern was he Limestone or Manual?
He went to Manual. He played on those two undefeated teams that Dick Geron or
I know who.
Bob Geron.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Geron had. And
was he a catcher in baseball too?
I don't know what he was in baseball. I really don't. But he was a quarterback in football, just like your brother.
How'd you wind up at Peoria High?
Well, one morning I'd come home from church. I was living in Farmer City, and my mom called me. She said, Phil, whether you're interested or not, John Murphy, who was East Peoria's basketball coach, says that there's a freshman football job open and an assistant track job open at Peoria High School. If you are interested, get a hold of, and she told me, so I got a hold of Corky, and Corky was a good friend of Russ Moore's. Well, Russ Moore was my line coach when I played football at East Peoria, and he and Corky went to church together over at the Episcopalian Church and on War Memorial Drive. And Harry Whitaker and John Murphy were great friends. They both were basketball coaches at the time, and so they helped me get the job here in Peoria. Now, Mike mentioned Lee School. Well, when I hired in, a guy by the name of Carl Plaker said, "I've got just a job for you." And I told him I was interested in coaching. Oh, coaches, those jobs, they never open up and so forth. Well, I knew the job was already open. but sometimes you can't tell some things. And so he talked to me, and he said, well, I'll hire you, and I'll put you down at McKinley Grade School. I wasn't interested in going down to McKinley Grade School. I was interested in coaching football at Peoria High School and also being an assistant track coach. I should say track and field because field gets left out, and field is what oftentimes wins big meets for many schools and so forth. So I went by Corky's and I told him, well, I said, doesn't look like it. I said, he wants to put me down at McKinley. I'm not. Incidentally, when Mike was talking about Jack Brickhouse, he should have said that our present mayor, he had her in class.
Rita Ali.
Down at, her name was Bryant, right?
She was actually of the 6th grade class, but I knew her as a kid pretty well.
Yeah. Anyway, then I stopped by Corky, and Corky said, just get hired. He says, we'll get you the job at Peoria High. So I went back to Farmer City, and about midweek I got a call from Max Mills, who was a great principal there at Peoria High School while Mike was there, and well, when I taught there too, for about 2 years. And he called and said, could you meet Mr. Plaker and me next Saturday morning at the administration building? So I said, sure. So I came up, and I felt like I was watching a tennis match because at that big table, and you've seen the big table in the administration room and so forth, and Plaker sat at one end and Mills sat at the other end, and I sat in the middle. And Mills would say something, and Plaker would say something. I'd just back and forth. I didn't say anything. Well, make a long story short,
it's too late, Phil.
Anyway, he they both agreed that
you got hired.
I'd get hired, and I'd be at Central.
And you were there for how many years?
Well, I don't know, about 37 or 38, something like that. Depends on what you say. I volunteered 3 years after I retired.
Yeah. And you're still somewhat. Let's get Sean Seaver in here because Sean put this together, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born and raised in Peoria. I ran for Coach LaCroix in 75 and 76, and for Coach Salzer in track. And then right after, I didn't go to high school. I was in the trades for 40 years. I started helping Coach LaCroix and Coach Salzer down at the state meet in 1977. I've been down there ever since.
Well, tell us what's happening tomorrow to recognize and really to honor them for their longtime service in education in Peoria.
Yeah, tomorrow is basically a concept I wanted was an open house. It's celebrating the milestones with two of them, Coach Lawson, Coach LaCroix turned 80, and Coach Salzer 86 this year. I thought he was 85. I was a year off.
Oh, you guys are all kids compared to me. You know that?
So that was the milestone take on it. And I just wanted to do something where we could get a lot of people, you know, associates and teammates, etc., and just kind of visit. So
Did you say teammates and not inmates?
yeah, teammates.
Well, yeah, okay, that's good. Well, it's a wonderful idea. Now, it's being held at Peoria High, but you want people, whether they went to Spalding or Bergen or Notre Dame or Richwoods or Woodruff, whatever the case may be, to come and press the flesh and meet and greet and perhaps renew some friendships and acquaintances and recall some wonderful memories.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's not a Peoria High event per se, even though being held there, that was the easiest place because I work with Brian Dunphy, the athletic director.
Well,
so
he knows how to organize things.
So I thought the foyer would be a good thing, you know, and then it was with Coach Lawless being at Spalding, Richwoods, and Peoria High, and then Coach LaCroix being at Peoria High and Richwoods, yes. And then a lot of other people from the IHSA, etc., I contacted because I help out state track meet too. So their reach is very far. So.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I commend you for putting it together. Now, here's our prevalent question of the morning for our panel of distinguished citizens, coaches, and teachers. Look back in your memory of coaching and tell us who was, in your opinion, the most spectacular or most memorable athlete that you coached. Whether it was, well, it doesn't matter what sport, even though you're all particularly associated with track and field. Who wants to start? Bob LaCroix.
I think that one thing that stands out to me is when I left Peoria High School and went to Richwoods, from the fall of '84 through 2005. I had the opportunity to coach my own two kids, our daughter Becky and our son Steve, and to have them both run cross country for me.
Oh, no kidding, really?
At school I was coach, at home I was dad, but they both qualified for their state meet their final year, and that was really an honor to be able to coach your own kids.
What a great memory that is.
And then I think if I talk about one individual, it would have to be David Ayub, who in 1977 set the state record in the 800. At that time, that was the best time in the country in 1977 of any high school runner. And also, he missed the national record by 3/100ths of a second.
Wow.
In 1977, so obviously one of the best ever.
Did he go on to become a doctor? Am I remembering correctly,
That is correct,
Phil?
yes.
Yeah. Where is he today?
He's in Peoria.
Oh, he is. Well, wonderful. Okay, Mike Lawless, who do you remember? What do you remember mostly?
That's really a tough question, to be honest with you. I had the good fortune of looking. This is Saul's favorite quote. He say, "Mike, give me the talent, and then you outcoach me."
That's a great line, Mike.
And so anyway, what happened was, I had some really talented athletes, to be honest with you. I think one would be Doug Huff in track and field. A kid named Josh Augusta. He at practice would throw a shot put 70 feet. In the ring, never quite that well. Went 64 feet. He went as a freshman. He didn't place. As a sophomore, he got second, and he won the last 2 years. And a real quick kind of side story, too. We thought he set a new state record that year, and they put a brand-new throwing surface in at Charleston. It was too slick, and it rained. And it cost him the state record, to be honest with you. So we were down, a little disappointed, but then, he was a pretty special kid. He said, "Coach, I'm still a double state champion." So he was an extraordinary athlete, to be honest with you. But had a whole bunch of them. Bob can tell you that, too. So many of them. And some of the kids you remember most are your worst athletes because they try so hard. They forever touch you. They try so hard for you.
Phil, what do you remember?
I remember probably a stretch wherein from about 1974 to 1977, we won 4 straight sectional track meets. District, they used to call them the district, then they switched and called them the sectional, and that was probably one of the most memorable times. And during that time, in '74, Bob and I probably had the best all-round track team that we had at Peoria High School. And I say Bob because, as I said, Bob handled our distance people, and we had some tremendous athletes during that time. Later on, I knew this one competitor was a really good all-round athlete, and I talked to him about becoming a decathlon his senior year after he graduated. And nobody, of course, recruits decathlons, although a coach at Illinois State by the name of Coughlin, he told me later on, he says, you know what, he says, Huff, and this is Derek Huff, an older brother of Doug's, he told me he changed my whole attitude on recruiting because I could see where I could take a kid and get some points at the NCAA track meet. Now, Derek went to Western. He won let's see, he won some events over in the Drake Relays, and I always looked at the eligibility of students. When he was a sophomore in college, competing very, very well, he was still eligible to compete in high school. He was an underage kid, is what he was. And you were an underage kid, and it probably hurt you athletically, Roger, because, and you probably know that.
Yes, I'm in therapy as a result of it.
Anyway, I'd say Derek Huff was a pretty good athlete. He qualified in a couple events for the state meet. He placed, I know, in the pole vault. Derek went on, and I went out to the meet in 1989. He won the NCAA decathlon, and he, I think, got it might have been 4th or 5th in our trials the year we went to Spain for the Olympics. He didn't qualify, and he actually missed because he didn't make the starting height in the pole vault because he passed too high. And some guys, competitors will think they can do better than what they're capable of. We had a couple kids in the state meet, and I blame myself for not discussing things with kids before they competed in the state meet. I just kind of, let them decide themselves how high they should start, but you ought to always get qualified. That's the first thing. Get qualified in that particular event. But anyway, Derek Huff, David Ayub, Bob did most of the coaching of him. I was the head coach, as I said, but let's face it, each one of these guys, they've been head coaches, and they'll say the same thing. You got to have some support. You got to have some assistance, and I could turn the field events over to Mike and say, Mike, you handle all the field events, and Mike could do it. Mike
would do it. Yeah.
And Bob, I'd say, Bob. In fact, I had a complaint from a well-known sports editor one time at the Journal Star, and he said, yeah, Salzer says, when I'd say, I want all the people who are with Hasselbacher. Bill Hasselbacher was one of our assistants at one time. You know his dad, Cliff. And I'd say, I want the sprinters and relay people all to go with Bill Hasselbacher. And I want this particular group to go with me. And all of LaCroix's boys go with him. Well, this guy thought it was an insult. I wasn't an insult. Hell, that was something to be proud of, to go with LaCroix.
Who was that sports guy? No, you don't need that. Tell who it is. Hey, quick question.
I'll tell you off the air.
Well said, well done for that matter. I have a question for all of you coaches, and that is, how can a coach improve a kid, and I'm talking about track, 100-yard dash, 400, 800, whatever, maybe the mile or whatever. What can a coach do to improve their running ability? Or is it 90% natural talent?
I'd say the biggest part of it, of course, is natural talent. How can I get faster? Well, what are you weak in? And we had a kid who won 4 events in his senior year in the conference track meet, and I think I helped him by teaching him to run straight. In other words, some kids, when they come out of the blocks, they're over here with one
To make sure they're running straight.
Yeah. And I took this kid and I put him on a line, put the block on a line, and I said, you just run, and you actually pigeon-toed guys are the fastest guys. You don't.
Well, not everybody's pigeon-toed, so
I
you
know
don't teach them to be pigeon-toed, do you?
No, but you can teach them to run straight on a line, and that helped this kid. And
Bob,
I think one that kind of comes out to my memory was Bruce Baumgartner, who was a cross-country runner for us in track, and Bruce's stride was never very long, very, very short stride. And at the time we were running over Newman Golf Course, we practiced there and competed there. And there's a sidewalk that runs from Peoria High, University in Nebraska, over to the golf course. And when we made the runners run over there, he could not step on a line of the crack in the sidewalk. He had to keep passing over
break your
to lengthen his stride.
You break your mother's back if you
Right.
stepped on the line.
And it worked. It worked. He lengthened his stride,
Really?
and he
Is that
became
right?
a very, very good runner, yes.
That's interesting. Mike, how about you?
I want to tell a quick story about Doug Huff.
Move the microphone over there,
Excuse me,
Mike.
I'm sorry. Doug Huff's grandparents were German Olympics.
Really?
Yeah, and they were just wired right. Just that simple,
Yeah.
right, Coach? They were always wired right. I think as a runner, I still told the kids you have to run. You have to train. And if you're a basketball player, you play basketball. And if you're a marksman, you practice. They have to run. And eventually, some kids who start off kind of like a uncoordinated stride will eventually begin to find their own strides. One year I changed a kid's stride and I broke both his legs.
Well, thanks, Coach.
He was terribly, terribly pigeon-toed. I said, well, anyway. So anyway, from that point on, he said, you got to run. Like anything else, it takes time to get better.
All right, a final wrap-up. Sean, tell everybody what's happening tomorrow and who's invited.
Everyone's invited. It's at Peoria High School. It's in the foyer. You can park in the back lot there. It's from 6 to 9 p.m. There'll be some cake, some punch, some water, some cookies and stuff, little edibles, but mostly just come and visit and stay as long as you want or short as you want. Doesn't matter. It's just no speeches, no program, no anything. Just visiting tomorrow.
Come and honor Bob LaCroix, Mike Lawless, and Phil Salzer tomorrow, and the hours again?
6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Gentlemen, thanks for coming. God bless you all.
Thank you.
And I know you touch the lives of a lot of young people who are better today because of you. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. News, weather, sports next on Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7 and also on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of our program today. everybody. A pleasant good morning to you. It is the last day of September and a Tuesday, September 30th, and we begin with a check of the weather brought to you by Realtor Kathy Reynolds of Brilliant Real Estate. You know, we learn early, hard work does indeed produce results, and that's why Realtor Kathy Reynolds is so successful. She works hard. She's a hard worker, and she gets results for her clients seeking to sell and or buy their next home. Learn more from Kathy Reynolds, and her phone number 309-696-2162. Start with the weather. Sunny and hot today. High of 90, overnight low 58. Tomorrow sunny, not as warm. A high of 87 Thursday, 89 Friday, 90, and we're up to 64 degrees. Now with our lead story, here's Terry.
President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday announced a 20-point peace plan they hope will bring an end to the war with Hamas. Highlight of the proposal is the release of all the Israeli hostages in return for an end to all military operations in Gaza. Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Gaza would be ruled by a transitional government headed by President Trump. Netanyahu approves the plan. Hamas has yet to respond.
And the president is also still trying to bring an end to the war between Russia and Ukraine. He's hinted he might start supplying long-range missiles, those things they're called Tomahawks, to the Ukrainians. The missiles, by the way, can strike deep into Russia, capacity to fly up to 1,500 miles, and it could be a game changer, say some military experts.
In this country, there's no deal between Republicans and Democrats for passage of a new spending plan. Vice President J.D. Vance says demands made by Democrats are unrealistic and says a shutdown will happen. Democrats blame Republicans. The deadline is tomorrow, Wednesday, October 1st. Republicans were unable to get an agreement with the Democrats for a short-term spending plan to keep the government open.
Now, this will be a partial shutdown if it happens. Active duty military, federal law enforcement agents, Border Patrol protection, meaning ICE agents and custom officers, will remain on duty. So will air traffic controllers and postal workers, among others.
Speaking of ICE agents, they arrested an illegal alien in Des Moines, Iowa, working as superintendent of schools in the city. Ian Roberts, an undocumented immigrant and a registered Democrat, was carrying a loaded handgun, a hunting knife, and $3,000 cash when he was taken captive. Sounds bizarre. And get this, state officials revoked his education license, but the school board put him on paid leave.
A listeria outbreak has led to the deaths of 4 people and the hospitalization of 19 others, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The contaminated products sold at Walmart, where else, and on the list for recall are Morningside linguine with beef meatballs and marinara sauce, and Trader Joe's Cajun-style blackened chicken breast fettuccine Alfredo. The outbreak covers Illinois among 15 other states, or that includes the 15 states. Dr. Gene Sidler will join us after our newscasts and sportscasts with more details, so stay tuned.
More details have been released regarding the 2 shootings and potential riot in downtown Peoria Sunday morning on Main Street near Monroe. Peoria County State's Attorney Jody Hoos announced the arrest of 6 people charged with aggravated battery. The 6 were allegedly part of an unruly and aggressive crowd of 40 to 50 people who were interfering with officers investigating a shooting that sent one person to a local hospital with critical injuries. Police say the crowd also caused problems for medical personnel seeking to treat the shooting victim. Hoos wants all 6 to remain behind bars until their trial.
Peoria police arrested 26-year-old Pablo Sanchez for armed robbery of the Daily Food Mart at 605 South Shelley. Happened around noon Sunday. A quick response by officers ended with his arrest a short time later, not far from the scene of the crime.
Peoria firefighters were also quickly on the scene of a fire at the Allcast Foundry at 8821 North University yesterday morning around 11 a.m. Due to the nature of the fire and the products involved, due diligence was necessary. Damage is estimated at around $50,000.
Now more news from the folks at WCBU.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm June Delahunty. The city of Peoria is working on creating a pair of new tax increment financing, or TIF districts, in an effort to boost economic development. One of the TIF districts covers the Northwoods Mall commercial corridor. Councilmember Andre Allen says he's eager to see how it might attract more businesses.
This demonstrates our vision for wanting this to, again, not only be a current shopping destination, but again, for it to grow, for future growth and sustainability.
City Manager Patrick Urick says other communities have had success in seeing large mall parking areas turned into apartments and other businesses. Republican lawmakers in Illinois have joined forces to tamp down data sharing by colleges and universities. State Representative Travis Weaver of Peoria says a new bill in Springfield is aimed at protecting student data. A complaint filed with the U.S. Department of Education claims sensitive information was shared with political organizations without student consent.
The complaint that we raise underscores the urgent need to hold institutions accountable and to demand stronger safeguards against the misuse of student data.
Illinois State University, Heartland Community College, and Eureka College are among those shown to have given data to All In, a nonpartisan voter engagement firm. Republican Central Illinois Congressman Darren LaHood is expressing skepticism about the Trump administration's public health guidance regarding vaccines and Tylenol.
I don't think we have enough evidence to reach some of the conclusions that have been reached, and so I'm cautious on some of the things that have come from the HHS secretary, and I think what I would tell people is rely on evidence and facts that are based on science.
His administration has pulled back on some vaccines for children and said not to take Tylenol during pregnancy. Many doctors and public health officials reject that claim. Illinois is one of 21 states to win a lawsuit over disaster relief funding. The Trump administration has attempted to withhold nearly $2 billion in disaster relief funds from states that have sanctuary cities. Trump's executive order aimed to force states to coordinate with federal immigration officials in exchange for Homeland Security grants. Judge William E. Smith rejected the, quote, arbitrary and capricious conditions laid out by the president's administration, saying the order was unconstitutional. I'm June Delahunty.
All right, let's get into sports. Chris Buckley with all the latest. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, sports fans. Let's start with baseball. The regular season is over. Today, the playoffs begin without the St. Louis Cardinals, who were swept by the Chicago Cubs over the weekend. The Cubs host the San Diego Padres today at Wrigley Field in the best-of-3 series. Matthew Boyd will start for Chicago. His record is 14 wins and 8 losses, with an ERA of 3.21. Game time is 2:08. ESPN carrying the game, but not the marquee network. In other playoff contests, Cincinnati is at Los Angeles against the Dodgers in the American League tomorrow. The Yankees host the Red Sox, and Detroit travels to Cleveland. In football news, the University of Illinois is still celebrating their exciting come-from-behind win over the University of Southern California Saturday, 34-32. They next play at Purdue at 11 Saturday morning. The Fighting Illini are 4-1. Notre Dame is now 2-2 after the lopsided win over Arkansas, 56-13. They'll face a good Boise State football team this Saturday at 2:30. And the Chicago Bears are enjoying their fruits of victory after their big win over Las Vegas Saturday, 25-24. That evens their record at 2-2. They're off Monday night, October 13th in Washington against the Commanders. Are off until Monday night. Green Bay is 2-1, and Kansas City Chiefs are 2-2. Monday Night Football pitted the 1-2 Denver Broncos against the 2-1 Cincinnati Bengals. The final score: Denver 28, Cincinnati 3, and that's it for you.
All right, thank you, Chris, and let's continue. Hour number 3 of Breakfast with Roger and Friends, including not only Chris, but Terry Chamberlain. Dr. Gene Sidler on the line, and a pleasant good morning, Gene.
Well, good morning, guys, and Terry, is still there?
Yes. Well, she went to the other office. She'll be back shortly for that matter. Anyway, good morning. You know, with all these outbreaks of listeria and other things, it almost makes you want to stay home and make your own food anymore. Tell us about listeria. What? First of all, what is it, and what are some of the symptoms?
Yeah, it's bacteria that probably most people never heard of until maybe the last couple of years. There were several outbreaks in the last year or so. Remember, almost exactly a year ago, there was a rather large outbreak involving boar's head deli meats, and that involved a number of cases, maybe one of the largest outbreaks that we have recorded of listeriosis, the infection that you get with listeria. And now we have this one here coming from these homemade meals from the grocery stores that apparently have been linked to this listeria bacteria. Anyway, it's a bacteria that our intestinal tract does not tolerate too well. You know, of course, our intestinal tract is filled with bacteria, and they're mostly friendly bacteria that help us with our digestive process. But listeria is a bacteria that's capable of causing severe inflammation. So sometimes the symptoms might just be abdominal cramping or diarrhea, but it's also capable of invading the lining of the bowel and getting into the bloodstream and maybe spreading to other parts of the body, causing severe illness, including widespread infection, even meningitis, liver failure, much more serious kinds of things like that. It is very sensitive to antibiotics. The problem is, though, that it usually has time to sort of percolate and get pretty severe before people seek medical attention and before it's diagnosed. So it can lead to these serious complications that we're reading about now with this latest outbreak, where at least 4 people, I think, have been reported to have died from it.
It appears that some of the symptoms are applicable to other conditions or medical problems, and sometimes makes it more difficult to determine whether to run to the ER or to the doctor's office.
Well, absolutely, yes. Many people, in fact, even with this outbreak and with the previous outbreaks, not all of the people who have acquired this infection are likely counted in these statistics, because a lot of them might get only mild symptoms to start with, maybe just a little stomach upset. I mean, we've all eaten food somewhere, maybe out at a restaurant, where later on we get a little sick and feel like something in the food just didn't settle right with us. And a great deal of these individuals with these milder symptoms might just get over it themselves. Their own body's immune systems are capable of fighting back and neutralizing this infection in many cases. The people most susceptible are those people who do have weakened immune systems, people who have other illnesses or are on chemotherapy, maybe even especially very young children or very old elderly folks are the ones that are the most susceptible because maybe their immune systems aren't developed or as healthy as they should be. So yeah, many of the symptoms might just be misinterpreted as a little bit of stomach upset, intolerance to a food or something like that, and they get over it. But there's a smaller percentage of those that go on to these more serious side effects that then do eventually get these folks to go in for medical attention.
Yeah, maybe my mindset, but I never have considered a listeria outbreak as one that causes death as much as stomach discomfort, et cetera, and so forth. So if we have right now the count is 4 dead in 15 states, are these typically people who are medically compromised or elderly people? Are they the one more, as you, I guess, suggested, sensitive?
Yeah, usually that's the case, that the people who succumb to the illness or die from it might be more likely to have had some compromised health in some way that weakened their immune system and allowed this infection to get a lot worse before their own system, their own immune system was able to fight back. So yeah, that could be. We don't have much details from the CDC reports that have been released on just who were the people who died. apparently from what I read, one of them was in Illinois, that one of the deaths reported was in Illinois. And the other thing that's not widely reported in all of the articles about this is that some of the meals made by the company that was linked to this listeria is that some of their meals ended up as the same products, only in Kroger under the Home Chef brand name. That's their own brand name for some of these pre-made meals. So it's possible that there could be more of them still yet to be reported. The meals that were infected were sold mostly in the earlier part of September, but they were made to be frozen. And so if anybody's got these frozen pre-made meals that involve chicken pasta dishes or pasta meatball dishes, those are the ones that have been reported to have been involved, that they should get rid of them, or at least look up and see if some of the serial numbers or best buy dates match with what's being reported as the ones that need to be avoided.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do buy frozen meals, prepared meals, and put them in their deep freeze and take them out maybe 2 months from now or 3 months from now, type of thing. And so I think it's important for them, if they have any of these products that have been named by us on this program, and I'm sure in some cases other media as well, they need to take a look at what's in their deep freeze.
Yeah, that's the case. That I think most of the meals from this producer by the name of Fresh Realm that has production facilities in several different states, that most of them ended up at Walmart. So people that have shopped for these kind of pre-made meals at Walmart, those are the ones you need to look at. But as I said, some of them at Trader Joe's, and we don't have that chain here in Peoria, but we definitely have Kroger, and so some of them could have come as well from Kroger. Yeah, that's. We hope that that's the end of it, and that no more of these serious infections arise. But because of that fact that they were intended to be frozen, that could happen.
Yeah, I don't want to get too personal, but do you buy, you or Becky buy frozen meals?
No, mostly just fresh stuff. I mean, I do occasionally have some frozen stuff in the refrigerator that I default to if I have nothing else to eat.
Okay. But emergency meals.
Yeah, mostly that stuff just never comes out tasting or looking like it does on the label. Yeah.
Supplies. You're exactly right. And it is a little, but that's true too for some of the fast food joints too. It always looks different. I'll give you an example. The Arby's sandwich, and I do like Arby's. I haven't eaten any lately, but I used to do quite a bit. The sandwich with, and I like the beef and cheddar cheese, Arby's beef sandwich. It never looks the same as it does on a television commercial.
Yeah.
After you unwrap it from the aluminum tinfoil wrapping, for some reason or other, it doesn't look like what I saw on Fox News or CBS News last night. All right, let's move over to Tylenol and the alleged connection to autism. Have there been, I don't know if you've checked into it, a drop in the sale of Tylenol products? Interestingly, Gene, I was in, a Walmart store, and the same time that story broke, they had a big display of Tylenol on sale at Walmart in Morton. I was just wondering if sales have somewhat declined.
Well, I have not seen any articles either in medical reports or in the news that the sales have dropped off. I have to think it might affect sales a little bit. Again, most of the Tylenol sales are in the form of generic versions of it that people buy because it is no longer exclusively owned by Johnson & Johnson and sold as Tylenol. There are hundreds of these generic forms of acetaminophen, which is the generic name for the drug. Now there's perhaps we've all seen this. There's people fighting back. Lawsuits have been filed against the government about this Tylenol report, even though it's based on serious science that has been published showing a definite apparent link between the use of Tylenol in pregnancy and then the children of those women developing the autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. And then on social media, there's this thing I think you talked about where people are showing themselves taking it while pregnant as if it's some kind of slam dunk that they can do against the Trump administration, which is just really crazy. Again, it just shows how delusional some people are in anything that the government tells them.
Yeah, and probably I most legendary case in my mind is smoking, and I remember Rush Limbaugh used to tout his love for cigars and smoking cigars, and I think in the end that was not a wise decision.
Yeah. Smoking was considered quite the thing to do back in the mid 1900s. It took a turn with the Surgeon General's report around 1960 or so that linked it very strongly to heart disease and then subsequently to lung cancer. We know now that's a very strong link, and the incidence of smoking dropped off substantially for a long time, and of course now it's I think it's back on the rise again. But yeah, people sometimes will tend to just feel like it doesn't apply to them, and they can take their chance.
Yeah, and of course my most familiar story is Bill Tuttle and chewing tobacco and what that did and what how that impacted his health and his eventual demise, for that matter. And I think there are ball players once again starting to chew tobacco. I'm not sure that's what Pete Crow Armstrong of the Cubs is doing, but I know he has a big chaw of something in his jaw similar to the late, and you're familiar with Nellie Fox of the White Sox, who always used to have a big chaw of tobacco in his mouth.
Yeah, a lot of ball players did. I think they still do. There's no rule against using it. There is a rule against spitting now in the baseball. They aren't allowed to spit it out like you used to see them do all the time. But I think the form that more and more of these ball players use now are these little packets that you can put in your mouth between your gum and your cheek, and the tobacco with the nicotine sort of seeps out into your system that way. It's a little cleaner form of tobacco use, but it's still being used.
Yeah, that's no question about it. Any other health news that you want to update for our listeners this morning, since we have you on the line?
Well, I was trying to see if there's something breaking in the health world. Mostly the discussions and the articles are about either the Tylenol issue or now this listeria outbreak. There has been a case of monkeypox found in the United States. I don't know if people have anything to worry about, because the cases so far that have appeared, remember we had monkeypox a year or two ago become a big concern, and then it kind of disappeared from the news, and now it's back again with a case that has appeared in the U.S., but the cases always seem to be people who have made visits to Africa and other third world countries, so I don't think anybody has anything to worry about at the present time, but interesting to see it back in the news again.
Yeah. All right, as usual, Dr. Gene Sidler, thanks for the updates. I appreciate it. And if not tomorrow, we will see you Thursday morning.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Gene.
Have a great day, everybody.
Dr. Gene Sidler with an update on the listeria outbreak that is claimed 4 deaths and covering a number of people in 15 states. And since we're into the news, let's give you our final newscast of the morning. You know, more people are turning to home health care for loved ones, and more people choosing Spoon River Home Health Services. Their staff, professional and personal, have been now for over 30 years in the central Illinois area. Spoon River Home Health, you can reach them 24/7 at 309-245-0723. Here's Terry.
Could there be an end to the war in Gaza? Well, President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday announced a 20-point peace plan they hope will bring an end to the war with Hamas. Highlight of the proposal is the release of all the Israeli hostages in return for an end to all military operations in Gaza. Israel would release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Gaza would be ruled by a transitional government headed by President Trump. Netanyahu approves the plan. Hamas has yet to respond. The president is still trying to bring an end to the Russia-Ukraine war. He's hinted he might start supplying long-range Tomahawk missiles to the Ukrainians. The missiles can strike deep into Russia with the capacity to fly 1,000 to 1,500 miles to hit targets. Could be a game changer. There's no deal between Republicans and Democrats for passage of a new spending plan. Vice President J.D. Vance says demands made by Democrats are unrealistic and says a shutdown will happen. The Democrats blame the Republicans. The deadline is Wednesday, October 1st. That's tomorrow. It will be a partial shutdown if it happens. Active duty military, federal law enforcement agents, Border Patrol protection, meaning ICE agents and custom officers, will remain on duty. So will air traffic controllers and postal workers. A listeria outbreak has led to the deaths of 4 people and the hospitalization of 19 others, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The contaminated products sold at Walmart and on the list for recall are Morningside linguine with beef meatballs and marinara sauce, and Trader Joe's Cajun-style blackened chicken breast fettuccine alfredo. The outbreak covers Illinois among the 15 named states. More details have been released regarding the 2 shootings and potential riot in downtown Peoria Sunday morning on Main Street near Monroe. Peoria County State's Attorney Jody Hoos announced the arrest of 6 people charged with aggravated battery. The 6 were allegedly part of an unruly and aggressive crowd of 40 to 50 people who were interfering with officers investigating a shooting that sent 1 person to a local hospital with critical injuries. Hoos wants all 6 to remain behind bars until their trial. Peoria police also arrested 26-year-old Pablo Sanchez for armed robbery of the Daily Food Mart at 605 South Shelley around noon on Sunday. A quick response by officers ended with his arrest a short time later, not far from the scene of the crime. Peoria firefighters were also quickly on the scene of a fire at the All-Cast Foundry at 8821 North University yesterday morning around 11. Due to the nature of the fire and the products involved, due diligence was necessary. Damage is estimated at around $50,000. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, Terry, let's have a check of the weather with Chris Buckley this morning, brought to you by Kyle Barnold, an insurance professional. You can shop around on your behalf to find the right coverage at the right price, and Kyle's available today, this morning, 309-682-0519. Chris?
Well, the weather is sunny and hot today with a high of 90. Overnight low, 58. Tomorrow, sunny, not as warm, high 87. Thursday, 89. Friday, 90. Currently, it is 66 degrees.
And going to be another hot one.
Yep.
You bet. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Chris is here sitting in for Mike Olson, who had knee replacement surgery, I believe, yesterday. We'll get an update on his condition, how things are going on our program tomorrow, so stay tuned. Late breaking story out of Washington, D.C. An unusual deal reached between the United States and Iran. Iran has agreed to accept 400 Iranian illegal immigrants into this country. And they've already had a plane load of 120 Iranians who entered the U.S. illegally, most of whom from guess who through Mexico, and they boarded a plane in Louisiana and are on the way to Tehran. This is an unusual an agreement between two countries who have historically not liked each other, and Tehran said that the arrangement has been facilitated by talks for the last couple of months. So there is a chance, and the Trump administration says that in the first 8 months of President Trump's administration, they removed or self-deported 2 million illegals from the country. Rather historic, to say the least. Well, with that bit of news, we continue with the balance of hour number 3 of Breakfast with Roger and Friends. Chris, you seem to be having a conversation with some of those coaches. Did you know any of the coaches at all?
I did not.
Or you were just breaking the bread of fellowship?
I overheard them talking about pole vaulting. I was track in high school.
Were you
pole
really?
vaulted, yeah.
At?
Lake Zurich High School.
Oh. There is a lake in Lake Zurich.
There is. And because he was talking about, the one that started his height a little too high, and
So you knew about that?
yeah.
How'd you get interested in pole vaulting?
I think it was mostly because I thought it was, fascinating.
It is fascinating.
I love the physics behind it, and I wanted to try it. It looked like something that was fun. I actually did really well.
What was your highest height?
15.6.
Oh, no kidding.
Unofficially, my senior year, I was hoping to do very well in state, but then sectionals came and pouring rain. The person that ended up going to state was the person that cleared 7 feet. Because
no kidding.
Well, because
why didn't they cancel it?
They our sectional was the only sectional in Northern Illinois that did not postpone until the next.
That didn't make sense.
Right. And I still tried to do it, but it was pouring rain. Couldn't hang on to the pole.
Yeah, it was probably slippery.
Hurt myself.
In the process.
Oh yeah, because you go up and you slide off the pole and you land in that metal box and right on my ankle, and then I got up and I still made my 3 attempts, but yeah, it was not going to happen because of the rain, and I was very disappointed because my starting height that I came in every track meet was state qualifying. So if you cleared 13.6, you automatically got a place at state, and that's where I came in at. And it started raining, and we were begging them to postpone it, and the officials didn't want to because they didn't want to come back the next day.
They were thinking of themselves rather than the athletes. Again, that. It doesn't make much sense. Did they change the quality of the pole over the years? It seems like they started using a different alloy to make the pole.
It's fiberglass.
Okay.
Giant spring inside of it. I had broken a few poles in my day. Every year, because I basically. Starting sophomore year, I basically won every track meet that I ever went to, and it was an interesting thing because you pick your starting height. So it was always interesting for me because I'd sit there and watch everybody vault, and then somebody would get like 11 feet or 10 feet or 10.6, and they thought they won. And then here I come, and they raise the pole up another foot or two, and then I start vaulting, But here's an interesting story. So my freshman year, when I first learned how to bend the pole, when I get to the end of the story, you're going to appreciate it more. I don't want to spoil it. But so it was we had a big tournament at our school, at our home school. So the first time I went and I bent the pole, I didn't kick my legs up. You know, it's kind of like archery. You know, you kind of, you know, one hand you're kind of, you know, pushing, the other hand you're kind of pulling back, and you got to like rock your body back to get the momentum. So I get the pole bent, but I didn't kick my feet up. And I kind of like wobbled up and didn't know what to do because I didn't really go anywhere, and I let go, and the pole sprung back, hit me right in the crotch. I landed face down on the mat, and it shot up in the air, and then it came back down and landed right between my legs, almost impaling me. So then, you know, I walked that off for a little bit. And then,
I'm sure it was more than a little bit.
Right, and then so I got up again, and this time I go, and kind of the same thing happened, but I'm like, I'm not letting go this time. And I kind of just rocked back, and it's uncoiled, and I landed on my back, and I slid probably 5 feet on my back on the turf. And
you still continued to pole vault.
I kind of skinned my back a little bit, you know, and then, you know, I kind of walked that off. So then I get up again, and I try to go again. This time I'm determined. I'm kind of pissed off, you know. And I go, and I do swing my feet enough, and I kind of wobble, and I get up onto the mat. You know, wasn't pretty, but I was able to kind of get a little bit of lift on it and get the motion going, and got onto the mat. And all of a sudden, I hear this clapping from on the other side of the fence. And I look over, and it was Walter Payton.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No kidding.
So, and I went over.
He had seen you fail.
He watched me, and he called me over, and he's like, "Hey, man, you know, I was watching that whole thing." And well, his son Jared went to Barrington High School, which was the school right next to ours. So he was there watching his son.
Interesting.
And he decided to come over and watch the pole vaulting and see what was happening over there when his son wasn't running. And I had a nice conversation with him, and it was, you know, he's like, "Man, I like that. You know, you could have given up, and you didn't." And
you literally picked yourself up and dusted yourself off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
not only to have someone watch you and want to encourage you, but to have it by someone who is legendary in football. I believe, didn't he go to Kansas University, or am I thinking of another running back?
I don't
know. But Walter Payton, I mean, one of the all-time great runners for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
That's quite a story.
Yeah, so I told you the end was worth it.
Yeah,
you know?
it was.
But it was, it was one of those stories that I'll always remember, you know, having that nice conversation with him, and he's like, you know, I like your tenacity. Don't lose that.
What did you say your highest
unofficially, I think I got
17, did you
no,
say?
No, a little over 15. Officially in meets, it wasn't that high, especially with pressure.
Well, good for you.
But yeah.
Did you have to pay for the pole vault, or did the school pay for it?
The school bought me a new pole every year.
Oh, great.
But it was also because I was the one that won every, you know, because I was winning. They actually bought me a new mat. So after my freshman year and I started winning, they were able to scrape the money for an entire new pole vaulting pit, and then every year they would get me a new pole. Well, I broke a couple poles in the process, and the poles are rated for weight. So I was a wrestler and I was a pole vaulter. So the two sports that I picked were very weight conscious.
Yeah.
Because if you weighed more than your pole was rated for,
yeah,
problems would happen.
Like they would break. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I broke
fascinating.
poles because they were years and years old, and they're just fiberglass, and they get splinters in them, and
They get splinters? I didn't know that.
yeah, I mean, after being bent
If they
over
were
and over and
written,
over again.
I could understand, but plastic, well, plastic
Yeah.
breaks too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Well, it's fiberglass, so when it breaks, it's sharp.
All right, great story. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Let's have our pet tip of the day, as we normally do during this hour.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets large and small 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Caring for our pets is just like caring for children. We need to remember their treatments and appointments and keep them current. Sometimes, with all that's going on in our lives, this can be difficult. I suggest you use a family calendar that you write your pet's needs right along with your family's appointments. If you use the calendar on your smartphone, tablet, or other electronic device, just key in the things you need to remember and have it beep you when a task is due. It's easy to remember to feed, water, and walk a pet, but when was the last time you bathed your dog, clipped their nails, or gave them their monthly flea treatment? Today's flea treatments are designed to work in such a way that we need only apply the treatment once a month. But it has to be done regularly and consistently to be effective. Monthly also makes it easy to forget. Bathing, depending on the breed, should be done once a month as well. Nails should be clipped every 2 weeks, and dental cleaning should be done yearly, the same as vaccinations. If we know we have something coming due, it's easier to fit it into our schedules rather than scrambling at the last minute to update vaccinations or paying more to bring an animal current on their treatments. Dental cleanings is one of those treatments that, if missed, can cause you more expense. Plaque left untreated causes heart disease. So make use of whatever device you have and add your pet's needs to your calendar. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's Pet Tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Thank you, Louis Linder. I always get excited when I hear the pet tip that involves taking care of your pet, particularly your dog or your cat, and cleaning their teeth. Do you do it, or do you have it done with your cat? What do you have, 3 cats?
Yes. I pay to have it done because cats don't like people messing with their mouths.
I don't like people messing with my mouth, but it becomes necessary.
The dentist told me at one point, just take this little piece of gauze and you gently rub and it'll help work the plaque off. So when I had the kittens, it's like, that's okay, we'll start early. Start clipping their nails, get them used to that, and doing the nails. They still aren't real fond of, but they let me do it.
They do let you do it because you started early.
I started early,
okay.
But the gauze on the teeth, they want absolutely no part of that. So you do have to take them to the vet, and they usually put them out for it so they can do real good cleaning of their teeth. Because just like us, they get tartar and plaque on their teeth, and it can... The one cat, she was probably about 12 when I finally said, all right, put her out. Wound up pulling 2 of her teeth. That was a very expensive dental bill for that cat.
Oh, my goodness. With dogs... Do they, they promote a certain type of dog food that is supposed to clean the teeth and make their breath smell much better?
They have some of the little kibble, the crunchy things for the cats, and I bought it.
Does that stuff work?
I don't know. They don't eat it, so.
Yeah. Well, we'll never
they
know.
Go over, they go over, they sniff it, like, yeah. And when they start burying it, you know that there's no way you're going to get them to eat it. They won't touch it. So.
Do you have a cat or a dog?
I have
Chris?
2 cats at home.
Yeah. Do you brush their teeth?
They do not let me touch their nails. They do not let me touch their teeth.
They can get nasty too, as you know.
They have their scratch posts.
Oh, boy,
And
yeah.
they use the scratch posts, and that helps kind of file them down. I mean, when the cats were little, yeah, I would have scratch.
Oh, yes.
But the fact that I'm not really having scrape marks on me, and and my furniture is pretty safe because they're really good about their scratch posts. You know. I'm not super. I mean, I do look at their nails and make sure they're not super long. But I think they do scratch enough where they're, you know.
Yeah, because there can be, now two of them are front declawed, the other one is not. And she really fights me. I have to wrap her in a blanket, and we have a battle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Oh, yeah, because otherwise, when she climbs on my neck, it's
yeah.
very sharp, and she'll get caught. Sometimes they get so long, and she'll get caught on the carpet. Then she sits there and cries, and you got to go over and unhook her. And of course, explain to her, now this is why I clip her claws, so you doesn't do this. And they can also get so long. She's got one that if I don't stay on it, it does curve around, and it'll go into her paws, and that's really painful. So, yeah, you got to do your best and stay on top of that stuff.
73 degrees currently our temperature. We're going to get up to 90 at some point this afternoon. So the summer weather continues, even though this is the last day of September. And tomorrow, can you believe it, is the 1st of October. How time flies, for that matter. I want to talk a little bit. Chris Buckley has his own company and now located in the building with us, and he is responsible, along with his partner Scott, putting us on YouTube, and we thank you for that, Chris. A labor of love, I'm sure, for what you do. Somebody said to me yesterday, as a matter of fact, if you ever get a chance, ask the guy, typically, what's the cost to put together a podcast? And I know it depends on
there's
a lot of
factors.
variables, from equipment to length of time, et cetera, and so forth. But if somebody came to you, and they do, hey, I'm thinking about doing a podcast, what's involved? How would you answer?
Well, the first question I would ask is how many people are involved? How many cameras do you want? Do you want audio only? Do you want video? If you have multiple guests and you want multiple cameras, obviously all these factors can add cost to that. But if someone says, I got a budget of this, what can we do? I will come back with an answer and say, well, if this is your budget, then we can do this, this, and this. But if you want an extra camera, because if I have extra cameras and I need to pay a camera operator or other people there, so the expense goes up. But if someone comes to me with a budget, I can get something off the ground for them, and then as it grows or it starts making money or they get sponsors, we can always expand.
What is part of the challenge is a platform. Once you put it together, and I guess you put it together on some kind of recording media, and what do you do with it? Then do you work to get it on YouTube or some other media?
It really depends on what it is. If it's an audio-only podcast, then you can work and you can get it on any of the many, podcast streaming services that are on there. You can post it on YouTube as well as an audio-only thing. You can, I think, Audible and Apple Music and Amazon Music and all these different platforms have their podcasts on there. So depending on where you want to do it, we work with you to, get it available on those podcasts if it's audio only. If it's a video podcast, you can still take the audio version and post it on those things, and then take the video, you can put it on YouTube or any of the other streaming platforms that are available. So there's a lot of options that you can do. If you want to just do a straight YouTube show, that's a little different than a podcast, but that still works where, let's say you're in front of the camera and you're talking about a topic, and, there's a lot of that that's very popular where you sit in front of a chroma key, or you have a nice little set there and you just address the camera with what's on your mind.
Is that like when these people do these how-to videos? Is that kind of what they're doing in the streaming thing? Somebody's got a little camera and they'll go, like I watched how to change a screen in the house. And okay,
Yes,
so he said, you start with this, and he went out through the steps. Like, well, I can do that.
Right,
So
right.
that's
And then, so people make a lot of videos and they post them on YouTube. I watch a lot of stuff where people are just playing old video games. Some of these NES games in the past that I couldn't get past level 2, and now I can see what the rest of the game looked like, Or they're doing walkthroughs for the games and hints and tips and walk you through that type of thing. There's people that talk about, current political things, and they put their commentary in. Some people just do reaction videos where they sit there and watch other people's YouTube videos and react to them. There's a lot of things out there, and the nice thing with having a place to go to is you don't need to buy the gear, you don't need to learn how to use the gear. If you can come to us and we can set you up, and you can see if it's something you like before you invest thousands of dollars into your own stuff.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I know you've produced and directed a lot of podcasts and a lot of programs and so forth. Is there an area that has so far gone, as far as undeveloped, unproduced in podcasts? We have politics. We have, as you said, how to, like yesterday, I think it was, we went on YouTube, I think it was, how to check the level of brake fluid on a U-Haul truck.
I wonder why you had to do that.
And well, it was just a safety precaution.
Yeah.
You assume in this particular case, U-Haul makes sure the truck is safe, that the lights work, the air conditioning works, and the brakes have plenty of fluid and so forth. The question became, where is the container or the supply unit that has the brake fluid? Because you want to make sure it is. We found it with a little help from the YouTube or whatever it was. But and it seems like that, if it's covering that, everything under the sun is covered.
Yes, there is. I use YouTube quite a bit when I'm trying to figure stuff out. I got my new audio mixer up there, and I started messing around with it. And, Google's a wonderful thing. And, you sit there and something's not working right, and there's 400 buttons on there, and you're like, okay, what's going on? Because I find, even with IT, figuring out IT things, somebody else had the same problem as you, and they'll post what they did to fix it.
Isn't that wonderful, though?
Yeah.
That is absolutely fabulous. Well, we thank everybody. We had a wonderful program this morning. Studio loaded with folks. Chris, thanks for coming in, sitting in for our good friend Mike Olson. Sunny and hot today, a high of 90. We're up to 74 degrees. It's going to be a warm one again. And again, our thanks to everybody who came in. Mike Lawless, Phil Salzer, and Bob LaCroix, and Sean Seaver about the event tomorrow, 6 to 9 at Peoria High School, where you can recognize these fine mentors for our young people in track and field, cross country, and in the classroom as well. So thanks for coming in. Our thanks to Dr. Gene Sidler. An update on listeria. Ray LaHood gave his views about the peace plan in the Middle East and Gaza. And I think that just about covers it. Eddie Parker, who joined us as well. Have a great day, everybody. And remember, God loves you, and so do we. So long, everyone.